Chapter 41. The Insect Breeder. Southern Wilderness, Great Swamp, Mosquito Tribe. The Mosquito Tribe is a small tribe in the southern wilderness, with a population of about 500 people. Among them, there are more than 80 warriors above one color, over 200 ordinary warriors, and the rest are children and regular tribe members with low or no combat abilities. The Mosquito Tribe, which is a skinny old woman, with arms showing little meat, just a layer of skin wrapping around bones. Her face, arms, and even legs are covered with black totem patterns, and she wears a beast tooth necklace along with numerous bone ornaments, creating a mysterious aura that evokes fear. On the witch's shoulder stands one of the bird-beaked mosquitoes that escaped from the Vine tribe. She possesses a mysterious ability to directly communicate with bird-beaked mosquitoes, obtaining information about events in the Vine tribe through them. From the bird-beaked mosquito, she received fragmented messages: a tribe, huge dragonflies, vines, and everyone died. Through these pieces of information, the witch roughly understood what happened and gathered the important figures in the tribe to discuss what to do next. After receiving the news, the witch fed the bird-beaked mosquito on her shoulder a small piece of raw meat, showing no apparent joy or anger. The hunting team led by Huan, all 50 warriors, were killed by an unfamiliar tribe. Everyone, tell me, what should we do? The Mosquito Tribe's hunting team consists of 5 groups, ranging from 70 to 80 members at its largest to only 20 to 30 members at the smallest. Huan led one of these hunting teams. The hunting teams would set out from the tribe's location as the origin, going in different directions into the jungle and swamp to hunt, providing sufficient meat for the tribe. Children and women with low strength are responsible for gathering edible plants near the tribe. Every few years, when the accessible food in the vicinity becomes scarce, they would migrate once to ensure enough food could be obtained from hunting and gathering. This time, shortly after their recent migration, they encountered the complete annihilation of a hunting team, leaving the Mosquito Tribe very angry. A hunting leader stood up first, shouting angrily, "Find this tribe, kill them all to avenge our people." Exactly, kill them all. Seize all their belongings. The Mosquito Tribe, who did not have abundant food, had no intent of capturing slaves, knowing they couldn't sustain them even if brought back. It was better to kill them and take useful resources. Unless the tribe faced a catastrophe and many people died, they would resort to seizing women and children from other tribes to replenish their population. "Shut up, everyone!" Suddenly, the tribe's leader hollered, subduing the voices of others. The 4 leaders greatly revered the tribe's leader, quickly quietening and sitting back down. The Mosquito Tribe leader was relatively tall and fierce, with 4 horizontal stripes on his face, symbolizing him as a mighty 4-color warrior. A 4-color warrior means he can hunt giant toothed tigers alone, possessing extremely formidable combat power. As for the 5-color warriors who could hunt barbarian bears alone, it was nearly impossible for them to appear in small tribes, occurring at least in medium-sized tribes. After suppressing the others, the Mosquito Tribe leader lowered his voice and looked at the witch, which, since this unfamiliar tribe could completely wipe out the hunting team led by Huan, even only allowing 3 bird-beaked mosquitoes to return, it indicates their considerable strength. In fact, it's not just considerable. The leader of the Mosquito Tribe wanted to say that this tribe is very strong, at least not weaker than the Mosquito Tribe. Huan was a 3-color warrior, and bird-beaked mosquitoes' flying speed is extremely fast, with regular birds unable to catch up. But Huan died, and most bird-beaked mosquitoes were killed, making it evident how strong this unfamiliar tribe is. The witch nodded and said, "The leader is right." The Mosquito Tribe's leader continued, "If we rashly attack this tribe, even if we can seize it, we would lose many warriors. What would we do if other tribes attack us afterward?" With these words, the 4 leaders immediately shut their mouths even tighter. They weren't fools, as real fools don't survive long in dangerous jungles. Previously overwhelmed with hot blood, calling for revenge, now clear-headed, they immediately realized how foolish their previous statements were. In the Great Swamp vicinity, there's not only the mosquito tribe. Around the mosquito tribe, there are at least two tribes not weaker than them, not particularly far apart, occasionally encountered during hunting, with minor clashes occurring. Once again, the witch nodded, saying, "What the leader says is exactly what I'm concerned about. Our tribe recently migrated here, and our understanding of this place is inferior to other tribes. Starting a war rashly would be a big disadvantage." "Which, are we just going to let it go?" a leader asked quietly, sounding very reluctant. "Of course, we can't just let it go," the mosquito tribe leader said, "but first we need to understand the situation of that tribe. Once we establish ourselves here, we'll look for a chance for revenge." The leader is absolutely right. The witch agreed with the leader's words. With the witch and leader unified in opinion, the matter was essentially settled, and others had no choice but to agree. However, this matter is far from over. Once one day the mosquito tribe discovers the truth of the vine tribe, they will surely attack to avenge who won and others. Chapter 42. The Insect Breeder 2. Vine Tribe. After eliminating the mosquito tribe's hunting team, Jiang Xuan took people to set up numerous traps in the forest around the tribe to survive. These traps not only served as warnings and barriers, but also captured some prey, providing additional food for the vine tribe. Another tunnel was also excavated in a few days with everyone's effort. Now only widening and deepening remain. In the future, Jiang Xuan plans to dig more tunnels during free time. For instance, in winter, when the ground is frozen and hard, making digging difficult, underground areas are relatively warm and dry, ideal for tunnel digging. These tunnels can not only serve as life-saving shelters in critical moments, but can even be expanded into cellar-like structures for storing tuberous foods during winter. Jiang Xuan walked through the newly excavated tunnel with a torch in hand, noting places prone to collapse, reminding those digging the tunnel to reinforce them. After emerging from the tunnel, Jiang Xuan muttered with a strange look, "This decent vine tribe is digging so many tunnels. Soon it will become the bamboo rat tribe. But there's no choice. The vine tribe is too weak. It's not aesthetically pleasing to constantly hide in tunnels, but survival is what matters. Once the tribe becomes strong, there'll be no need to hide all the time. Until the tribe becomes powerful, better to be a bit cowardly than to be exterminated." After inspecting the tunnel, Jiang Xuan walked outside the bamboo house and noticed someone digging a hole on the hillside nearby. He walked over curiously. "What are you busy with?" Jiang Xuan knew this person, named Jiao, a young man in his 20s with ordinary looks, usually quiet but very diligent in work. Jiao heard Jiang Xuan's voice, quickly turned around, and said nervously, "Leader, I'm not being lazy. I just finished eating, and everyone hasn't started working yet." Jiang Xuan waved his hand and said, "Don't be nervous. I didn't say you were lazy. I'm just here to see what you're doing." Jiao felt slightly relieved, pointed at a half-meter deep earth hole, and said, "I want to dig a big hole here." "Why dig a hole?" Jiao hesitated for a moment, gathered courage, and said, "I want to use it to raise insects." "Raise insects?" Jiang Xuan was quite surprised by Jiao's idea. "Yes, I want to raise some edible insects. After work, I can feed them some leaves and tender grass." As Jiao spoke, he became more excited, his voice trembling slightly. "I observed that some insects prefer damp places, so I plan to dig a large hole to raise them inside. Insects are easy to rear and don't require much time and attention. If all goes well, the tribe will soon be able to eat the insects I've raised." Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up after hearing Jiao's words. This guy's idea is quite good. Actually, Jiang Xuan's plan has always been to expand farming once successful, to have more food for the tribe, then commence livestock breeding. Even raising rabbits requires a lot of plants daily. Just cutting grass around the tribe can't sustain many animals. Only by large-scale farming, using the leafy vegetables, roots, etc., unconsumed parts besides mountains plants, can supply the breeding needs. However, Jiao provided Jiang Xuan with a new idea, raising insects. Insects are omnivorous, endure hunger well, and are easy to rear. The crucial point is, this world's insects are large, meaty, and proliferate rapidly. If successful, the vine tribe will quickly have a large number of edible meat insects. Thinking about this, Jiang Xuan's face already wore a gleaming smile. De Jiao, your idea is excellent, really excellent. Really? De Jiao, normally silent, was still a bit uneasy. Of course it's true. Jiang Xuan thought for a moment, said, how about this, from now on, you work for half a day in the morning and specialize in insect raising in the afternoon. Feel free to raise them boldly. I'll even assign others to assist if needed. De Jiao felt as though he were dreaming upon hearing Jiang Xuan's words. He originally thought that his insect-raising idea would be scolded by the leader. After all, hunting and gathering were seen by the tribe as the best ways to obtain food, along with some planting in the vine tribe. Raising insects seemed somewhat unserious. He never imagined that Jiang Xuan not only agreed to his insect-raising idea, but even allowed him to spend half a day each day for it. Leader, De Jiao, overwhelmed, couldn't speak. The feeling of being recognized was precious. Jiang Xuan patted De Jiao's shoulder and said, do well. Since you decided to raise insects, raise them well. If you can truly make the whole tribe eat your insects, I'll reward you greatly. De Jiao nodded heavily, instinctively clenched his fist, silently vowed to raise the insects well, not to let down the leader's trust. Come, let me help you dig the hole. Without a word, Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house, fetched a bone plow, and started helping De Jiao dig. Soon, news of De Jiao raising insects spread throughout the tribe, especially upon learning the leader assigned De Jiao to specialize in insect raising. They felt incredulous. The tribe members had simple thoughts. If the leader supports it, it surely isn't a bad thing. With this idea, no one mocked De Jiao. Some younger teens even found it novel, often helping De Jiao dig holes and catch insects. Soon, the hillside of the vine tribe had several large earth holes, filled with many insects caught from the mountains. Due to lack of experience, under Jiang Xuan's advice, De Jiao separated several suitable types of insects into different caves, trying them one at a time to find the most suitable species for breeding. Jiang Xuan even asked him to try raising small bugs like earthworms to feed those carnivorous big insects. Carnivorous big insects have larger bodies, more meat, and higher breeding value. During this period, the mosquito tribe appeared once. They brought bird-beaked mosquitoes, attempting to probe the vine tribe's vulnerabilities. But when they approached the vine tribe, they first encountered numerous traps and saw over 50 skulls hanging from trees. Soon after, they encountered giant dragonflies in search of food, losing several bird-beaked mosquitoes, fleeing in panic. Coincidentally, at that moment, the mosquito tribe had significant conflicts with two other tribes in the Great Swamp, temporarily unable to focus on the vine tribe, and didn't send people to continue probing. Time passed one day at a time, and before long, it was midsummer. By June, after a month of exploration, De Jiao had initial success in breeding insects. June 18th, sunny. Outside, the sun was blazing. Inside the cave, it was cooler. Splash! De Jiao carried a load of grass and scattered it into the cave. Rustle! Soon, large insects crawled out from the corners, starting to devour the grass. These big insects had white bodies, resembling oversized silkworms, mature ones almost half a meter long, plump and white from De Jiao's nurturing. De Jiao looked at these plump insects, showing a simple smile. Eat up, eat more, grow more meat. He tried taming over a dozen types of insects, this kind of white big bug being one of the successful ones, with good meat quality, currently with no issues. After leaving this cave, De Jiao went to another cave. This cave had thick, moist soil, housing earthworms and other burrowing insects. De Jiao used the bone plow to turn the soil. Many insects wriggled upon seeing light, desperately trying to dig back into the earth. De Jiao quickly packed these small insects into two large bamboo tubes he carried, then recovered them with soil. He took the two tubes of small insects to the third earth hole. This earth hole had many stones and bamboo leaves, seemingly empty at first glance. But upon pouring in the two tubes of small insects, Many carnivorous black-shelled insects quickly emerge from under the stones and leaves, competing to eat the small insects. These black-backed carnivorous insects resembled centipedes, but were not poisonous, and were Jiao's second successful breeding species. Many other types have been eliminated. Jiao looked at these insects, muttering to himself, "Someday, I will make the entire tribe eat the insects I raise." Jiao had strong confidence in it. Chapter 43, Five-Colored Duck. The first year of the Vine tribe's founding, July 26th. Chief, the road to the riverside has been completed. In the bamboo house, Goting stood in front of Jiang Xuan, extremely excited to report to him. Over a month ago, Jiang Xuan instructed them to clear a path straight to the river, removing all the shrubs, reeds, weeds, and alike along the way. Actually, when the Vine tribe was developing farmland, they had already left a roughly 3-meter-wide road in the center of the farmland. So now they were simply extending this road forward. The reason for clearing a path to the riverside was because as the population increased, food consumption also surged, and the fish in the creek were no longer sufficient to meet the demand. Once the road is open, the Vine tribe can attempt fishing by the river. This river is over 20 meters wide, and the water is deep. Since it hasn't been fished before, the fish resources in the river are extremely abundant. If the fishing industry can be successfully developed, just the fish from this river can feed many people. Under Jiang Xuan's orders, Gotung led 5 or 6 people, using methods like digging, chopping, and burning, and spent a month and a half to finally clear the road. "You guys worked hard. Come, take me to have a look." Jiang Xuan walked outside, with Gotung following closely behind. The bamboo house is located on relatively high ground, while the open area is lower. From in front of the bamboo house, one can see most of the open area at a glance. Jiang Xuan looked out over the land and first saw a large pond, followed by fields arranged in tiers that stretched into the open area. There are around 30 acres, and the crops are already lush and thriving, looking very promising. Further ahead is a large crescent-shaped open space, covered with countless shrubs, reeds, and weeds, all lush and green. In the center between the farmland and the open area lies a roughly 3-meter-wide road stretching from in front of the bamboo house and extending several hundred meters directly to the river. Although the road is not large and in many places is covered by tall grass and trees, it connects the bamboo house to the small river, which is of great significance. When the people of the Vine tribe want to go to the river, they don't have to hack through the thorns and spend a lot of time. They can just follow the road. As they say, to get rich, first build roads, and this principle applies here too. After finishing the view, Jiang Xuan led Gotung onto this road. He walked past the pond, past the farmland, and along the road into the vast open area. The surrounding trees and plants were very tall. The road was somewhat rocky and far from smooth, with quite a few stumps on the ground. Yet Jiang Xuan was still very excited. Rustle, rustle. They walked through several hundred meters of open land and through towering reeds, until Jiang Xuan and Gotung finally reached the gravel-covered riverbank. In front of them was a small river over 20 meters wide with endless flowing water, clear and teeming with countless fish swimming back and forth. Not far away, a group of waterfowl was swimming in the shallows, occasionally diving to eat small fish and shrimp, not even bothering to flee when people approached. "Hey, that water bird looks a bit like a duck," Jiang Xuan exclaimed in surprise. This type of water bird had a beak similar to a duck, flat, and its feathers were colorful, quite large in size, appearing rather plump. "Chief, what's a duck?" Goting had never heard the term before. "A duck is..." Jiang Xuan suddenly didn't know how to explain it, so he vaguely said, "It's a type of water bird that's tasty to eat and can lay eggs." "Oh," Goting scratched his head, instinctively feeling it wasn't that simple, but he didn't continue asking. Jiang Xuan looked at the large water birds, much bigger than ducks, and his eyes gleamed. After July, although the weather remained hot, this world was entering autumn as the 30 acres of crops planted in the fields gradually began to mature. At the same time, the cave that Jiao was digging grew larger, and the insects being raised multiplied. With adequate food, the Vine tribe is ready to begin developing livestock farming. Jiang Xuan has been contemplating what kind of animals the vine tribe should domesticate. For mammals, he first thought of a large bamboo rat found on the mountain, because bamboo rats were herbivores with a very diverse diet. It not only eats bamboo, but also reeds, small shrubs, various plant tubers, leaves, vines, and more, with extremely wide food sources. Moreover, the large bamboo rat is less prone to illness, easy to keep alive, and has a strong reproductive ability with a lot of meat. It's a very good candidate for farming. As for birds, Jiang Xuan initially opted for a type of wild chicken from the bamboo forest, even capturing a few chicks to raise some time ago. But the awkward thing is, after separating from the mother bird, those chicks were extremely fragile and died easily, marking the vine tribe's first livestock farming failure. Now, Jiang Xuan has his eyes on this bird that resembles a large wild duck. Compared to wild chickens, the water birds clearly have a more diverse diet, greater disease resistance, and are able to forage in the water independently. As long as the water area is large enough, there might not be much need to feed them. The birds can satisfy themselves in the water. Let's find a way to catch a few and try to raise them. Jiang Xuan licked his lips. If these water birds are similar in habits to ducks, he has great confidence in taming them. Even if they can't be tamed in the first generation, he can confine them, have them breed a second generation, and raise them from birth. This way, they can still be domesticated as poultry. Chapter 44. Five-Colored Duck 2. Of course, during this process, there will definitely be difficulties, which need to be patiently overcome. Splash! A ferocious big fish in the water unknowingly approached the flock of water birds and suddenly burst out of the water, opening its blood-red mouth to try to bite one of them. Quack, quack, quack! The water birds were very alert, and when the big fish rushed out, they had already taken flight, making startled cries. The fish snapped at the air, flicked its tail, and quickly swam back to the deep waters, while the duck-like water birds escaped into the reeds, clearly taken by surprise. Their sounds really did resemble duck calls, and their feet were also webbed, which made Jiang Xuan even more excited. Let's go back. Jiang Xuan planned to go back and fetch Qi Xiao. Capturing these water birds alive was somewhat difficult, something with which Qi Xiao was more familiar. Jiang Xuan and Go Tung immediately returned to the vine tribe, and then Jiang Xuan told Qi Xiao about his idea of capturing the water bird alive. Since those water birds have hidden in the reeds, it implies that they usually live there. Qi Xiao thought for a moment and said, "Generally, birds eat insects. Let's go get some insect from Dejiao and set some snare traps in the reeds to see if we can catch them alive." Gotong was very interested in catching the water birds and excitedly said, "I'll get the insects." With that, Gotong quickly ran to where Dejiao kept the insects. Qi Xiao said, "I'll get some ropes and branches." Soon, Gotong returned with over a dozen fat, white insects, and Qi Xiao had prepared some rope made from tree bark and sturdy branches. Armed with these items, the group returned to the riverside to set up snare traps and capture the duck-like water birds alive. Qi Xiao walked along the sandy and pebbly riverbank to the outside of the reeds where the water birds were hiding. She observed the ground and found numerous footprints and droppings, with some paths frequently used by the water birds beneath the reeds. The reeds are too dense for placing snares, but we can place them where the water birds frequently move, which will be just as effective. Qi Xiao set a sturdy branch beside a path often used by the water birds and carefully set up a snare trap tied with rope. She then placed 2 crushed insects in the middle section of the snare trap. To be safe, Qi Xiao set up a total of 3 snare traps, all placed on the paths frequently used by the water birds. All right, now we'll hide at the side and wait for the water birds to come out. Qi Xiao, Jiang Xuan, and Go Tung hid on the road nearby, quietly waiting. Hunting requires a lot of patience, and catching the prey alive requires even more. If they chose to leave instead of watching over the traps there, the snare might catch the water bird by the neck, hanging it up, and by the time they returned, the water bird might either be dead or eaten by other predators. Therefore, they could only wait patiently. While waiting, Jiang Xuan continued observing the river. He noticed that some fish in the river were absurdly large, occasionally swimming by with just a big shadow visible from the surface. These big fish were very fierce, preying not only on smaller fish, but also occasionally eating birds foraging by the water. Besides these big fish, Jiang Xuan saw a water beast chasing small fish in the river. In the water beast appeared very large, with 4 limbs and a long tail, somewhat resembling an otter. Jiang Xuan remarked, "The prey in this river seems more abundant than in the forest." Qi Xiao replied, "It's probably because the forest is bigger and the animals are more scattered, whereas the fish and water beasts here have a smaller range to roam, making them seem more numerous." "That makes sense." Jiang Xuan agreed with Qi Xiao's explanation. "Ultimately, it's because river fish have less range to move around. If they were in the ocean, the situation would be different." Goting asked, "Leader, should we start fishing in the river in the future? We can set up some fishing traps on the riverbank to lure the fish over. The river is too dangerous to enter until we have sturdy enough boats." "What's a boat?" Goting found that Jiang Xuan mentioned another term he hadn't heard before. Qi Xiao also looked at Jiang Xuan, hoping he would explain. Ever since Jiang Xuan fabricated a story about a mysterious, which imparting knowledge through dreams, nothing he said surprised Qi Xiao anymore. Jiang Xuan thought for a moment, then pointed to a piece of driftwood by the riverbank and said, "Do you see that log?" "I see it," Goting nodded. A boat is a waterborne tool made by joining many pieces of wood together. It floats on the water, and people can sit on it, using paddles to row and control the boat's direction. Jiang Xuan used a small stick to draw a simple rowboat on the ground, helping Qi Xiao and Go Tong understand what a boat looked like. With boats, we can fish in the water and travel to farther places along the river. Go Tong's eyes lit up. "Leader, will our tribe have boats in the future?" Jiang Xuan smiled. "We will. As long as the tribe grows stronger, we'll have everything." Just as Jiang Xuan was outlining visions of the tribe's future, suddenly, the sound of flapping wings came from the reeds. "We got one." Qi Xiao was the first to sprint toward the snare trap, with Jiang Xuan and Go Tong following closely. Soon, they saw a water bird caught in the trap, frantically flapping its wings, trying to escape. That water bird had evidently stretched its neck to eat the insects in the trap's center, triggering the trap, and a rope caught its neck, pulling it taut with the resilient branch, hanging the bird in the air. Yet the more it struggled, the tighter the rope constricted its neck, suppressing any sound from its throat. Qi Xiao approached and accurately grabbed the water bird's wings with both hands, restricting its movement. "Leader, quickly bind its feet." "All right." Jiang Xuan took out a rope from his beast-hide bag and tied the water bird's webbed feet together, preventing it from walking. Go Tong then released the snare from around its neck to prevent the water bird from suffocating to death. Then, the bird was placed in the large beast-hide bag Qi Xiao brought. The water bird was panicked inside the beast-hide bag, but its feet were tied, and its wings couldn't spread, so its head could only tuck into a corner. Qi Xiao fastened the bag's opening, pleased. "Not bad, catching one so quickly." Jiang Xuan lifted the beast-hide bag, estimating that the bird must weigh around a dozen pounds. Besides its size, this bird indeed resembled a duck in other aspects. Jiang Xuan noticed the bird's feathers were a mix of various colors, quite beautiful. After thinking for a bit, he said, "Since we plan to domesticate it, it should have a name. Its feathers are colorful. Let's call it the five-colored duck from now on." "Five-colored duck, that's a fitting name." Qi Xiao agreed with the name Jiang Xuan gave. Goting also expressed his approval. Qi Xiao looked at the five-colored duck in the beast-hide bag and said, "We've caught one today. Those five-colored ducks probably won't come out here for now, so let's head back. We'll change the trap's location tomorrow." "Sure." Jiang Xuan and the others temporarily removed the remaining 2 snares, then returned to the tribe with the captured five-colored duck. After returning to the tribe, the first thing Jiang Xuan did was weave a large rectangular cage with vines, lining it with some dry grass, and then tie 1 foot of the five-colored duck with a rope, keeping it in the cage for rearing. In the days that followed, Qi Xiao managed to catch 3 more five-colored ducks, all kept by Jiang Xuan in the same cage and fed with insects, small fish, shrimp, and water plants. Strangely enough, with only one five-colored duck in the cage, it seemed depressed, with little appetite and a lethargic demeanor, constantly quacking loudly. But when there were four five-colored ducks together, although they still called out, they appeared much more spirited, with a noticeably stronger appetite. Indeed, social animals need companionship. This relieved Jiang Xuan, for he no longer had to worry about not being able to keep them alive. The next step involved the patient process of domestication. Since all captured five-colored ducks were adults, direct taming was impossible, so Jiang Xuan pinned his hopes on their next generation. As long as these four five-colored ducks were well-reared and laid eggs, once the ducklings hatched, they could be gradually domesticated by frequent human contact, turning into poultry over time. Chapter 45. Hunting Experience. The Jiao. From now on, you don't need to work in the fields anymore. Your daily task is to be responsible for the tribe's breeding industry. This matter is important as it determines whether the whole tribe can have meat to eat. Jiang Xuan stood in front of the Jiao and solemnly asked, "Do you have the confidence to do it well?" The Jiao thought for a moment about the big insects in the caves behind him, glanced at the five-colored ducks in the big cage beside him and the fish in the distant pond. A sense of mission welled up in him. His back straightened gradually, and his expression became resolute. "Leader, don't worry. I will definitely ensure that everyone in the tribe has meat to eat." "Good, I knew I didn't misjudge you." Jiang Xuan patted the Jiao on the shoulder and said, "If you encounter any difficulties, come to me. If they can be resolved, I will definitely help you solve them. If you feel overwhelmed, you can also ask me, and I'll find someone to help you." "No need, no need." The Jiao hurriedly waved his hand and confidently said, "I can handle it alone." Jiang Xuan smiled and did not insist. For now, the Jiao taking care of these insects, five-colored ducks, and fish ponds alone is certainly more than sufficient. However, when the breeding scale gets larger, he will definitely be too busy and will need help then. In the next few days, I'm going up the mountain to catch some large bamboo rats to raise. You'll need to dig another cave specifically for them. The Jiao's eyes lit up. Bamboo rats are good. They have a lot of meat. Rest assured, leader, I'll dig the cave well. Jiang Xuan nodded, then turned and left to gather Qi Shao and the others to go up the mountain and catch bamboo rats. Previously, when Jiang Xuan went hunting, he always took Shi with him. This time he left Shi and Nanxing to watch over the tribe, and took Go Tong to the mountain. In the bamboo house, Nanxing complained, "Why is it always me who stays in the tribe?" Go Tong chuckled and said, "Because you're the youngest, staying in the tribe is good for you. I'm also a one-color warrior." Nanxing protested, pointing to a green stripe across his face. Jiang Xuan reassured him at the right time, all right, I'll definitely take you next time." "Leader, you better not lie to me." Joy appeared on Nanxing's face, clearly showing his eagerness to join in mountain hunting. "I definitely won't lie to you." "All right then, Shi and I will look after the tribe." After comforting Nanxing, Jiang Xuan also told Go Tong, "Although the people of the mosquito tribe haven't appeared recently, you must not be careless. Be cautious, and if you encounter danger, escape through the tunnel to the stone mountain at once to seek Vine God's protection." "Rest assured, leader, I will be careful," Shi responded steadily. "All right, let's head up the mountain now." Jiang Xuan, Go Tong, and Qi Shao gathered their tools and left the bamboo house. This time, they headed to the northern forests. "Leader, catch more bamboo rats." Nanxing shouted from behind. "No problem," Jiang Xuan responded, then entered the dense jungle. Many people know that bamboo rats like to live in bamboo groves, but they don't realize that they don't live in groves with large bamboo stalks. The bamboo grove near the vine tribe is full of large bamboo thicker than bowls, which bamboo rats do not like to eat, so there are no bamboo rats in that grove. Bamboo rats really like to eat smaller bamboos about thumb thickness. They enjoy the main stem, bamboo shoots, and bamboo roots. Bamboo rats typically live on slopes where small bamboos grow densely. But these bamboos grow very densely, making it difficult to dig into the grove and get the bamboo rats out of their holes. Just the tangled bamboo roots crisscrossing the ground can give people a headache. Using a bone plow, this primitive tool, to dig out the deeply burrowed bamboo rats in the root-filled soil is not a wise choice. However, there is no issue since bamboo rats also love eating tall wild grasses like miscanthus. Miscanthus plants are tall, and their rhizomes and young shoots are full of water and nutrients. It's one of the bamboo rats' favorite plants. They often dig burrows and make nests where the miscanthus grows in patches, and after eating that patch, they move to the next area with miscanthus to continue burrowing and eating. This time, Jiang Xuan's goal was the sunny slopes where a lot of miscanthus grows, as the chances of finding bamboo rats are higher there. In the vast primitive forest, the three of them walked cautiously. They positioned themselves in a triangle formation, allowing them to see any movement around them clearly. Roar! In the distance, a giant bear seemed satisfied after eating and rubbed vigorously against a big tree, letting out a thunderous roar after feeling comfortable, scaring nearby birds and beasts into fleeing wildly. Jiang Xuan looked at the giant bear for a moment, and its small, iron, tower-like body alone made it intimidating. If I remember correctly, to become a five-color warrior, you have to hunt a barbarian bear. It's too difficult, Jiang Xuan murmured in awe. The barbarian bear is an even more terrifying predator than this giant bear, truly a tyrant of the forest. The barbarian bear weighs over 5,000 pounds, runs extremely fast, has sharp teeth and claws, and terrifying attack power. Most terrifyingly, it can climb trees despite its massive size. Jiang Xuan could hardly imagine what kind of formidable person could hunt such a terrifying, fierce beast alone. Don't provoke it. Let's go around it. Qi Xiao was cautious and didn't have time to marvel. Ensuring Jiang Xuan and Go Teng's safe return was her priority. Finding bamboo rats was secondary. It's autumn, and the forest is abundant with food. Generally, giant bears won't actively attack people, but one can't always be sure, and Qi Xiao didn't dare to take risks. The three of them quickly bypassed the giant bear and continued forward. During this journey, they encountered many terrifying predators. Luckily, these predators usually didn't attack people actively, and Qi Xiao could always discover and avoid them in time. Walking in the primitive jungle is so dangerous. A slight misstep could cost one's life. To live longer, one must be knowledgeable about the forest and its animals and plants, be cautious, and sometimes have a bit of luck. A few hours later, they saw a hillside covered in miscanthus from afar. This hillside was halfway up the mountain, and from afar, they could see patches of miscanthus swaying in the wind. The three of them stood under the mountain and climbed a huge pine tree, carefully observing the miscanthus on the mountainside. Qi Xiao observed while teaching Jiang Xuan and Go Teng. Generally, where there are bamboo rats, they will eat the roots of the miscanthus, causing its stems and leaves to wither slowly. If you find a large patch of green miscanthus with a small area just starting to wither, there's likely a bamboo rat there. But look for those with newly withered leaves. If the leaves are completely dry and yellow, even if there was a bamboo rat, it might have already moved its nest. Both Jiang Xuan and Go Teng nodded. This kind of hunting experience is precious, and without guidance, it would be challenging to figure it out on their own. Sis, look at that area. It looks just like what you described. Jiang Xuan, with keen eyesight, found a patch of miscanthus that was different after searching for a while. Although those miscanthus were still green, their leaves were curled, clearly showing signs of withering. Qi Xiao's eyes lit up and said, "Yes, there should be bamboo rats there. Let's go have a look." They memorized the location of that small patch of miscanthus, climbed down from the tree, and continued heading in that direction. Chapter 46. A Nest of Large Bamboo Rats. An hour later, Jiang Xuan and the others passed through the dense miscanthus grass and finally found the place they saw from the tree. Qi Xiao squatted down to observe carefully and found several spots on the ground that had been excavated, and many of the miscanthus sprouts had been gnawed. These bite marks on the sprouts are still fresh. They must have been made last night or today, and the soil from these shallow holes is also fresh. Qi Xiao stood up and said, "Look around nearby to see if there are any holes. The bamboo rats should be nearby." Jiang Xuan and Go Tung bent over and continued to burrow through the nearby miscanthus grass. Luckily, there were quite a few gaps beneath the tall miscanthus grass. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to squeeze through. Jiang Xuan didn't walk far when he suddenly discovered a small path, about 15 centimeters wide, very smooth, with no moss or gravel on the ground, obviously regularly used by some wild animal. Could this be the path made by the bamboo rats? Jiang Xuan followed the small path and continued moving forward. The further he went, the more soil holes he found dug into the ground, and the traces of gnawed sprouts increased as well. This made Jiang Xuan very excited. He felt like he was getting closer to the bamboo rat's lair. After crawling about 5 or 6 meters, Jiang Xuan suddenly noticed a large pile of granular soil on the ground, but couldn't see a hole anywhere. The top layer of this soil was fairly fresh and still moist, while the bottom layer was older and had already dried. Next to this big pile of soil, the traces of activity by the bamboo rats were even more evident, with many miscanthus grasses toppled over with their bases eaten away. "Sis, come over here quick," Jiang Xuan called out, and Qi Xiao and Go Tung pushed aside the miscanthus grass and crawled over to where Jiang Xuan was. Jiang Xuan pointed to the big pile of soil and said, "Sis, do you think this is dug by bamboo rats? But I'm not seeing any holes on the ground." Qi Xiao walked over and first stepped on the nearby miscanthus grass with her feet to clear out a space for movement, then pulled out a piece of recently wilted miscanthus from the soil pile and took a look. The miscanthus looked like it was still growing on the ground, but its roots had been completely gnawed off a long time ago, making it easy to pull out, which was why it wilted. Qi Xiao then pulled out the other miscanthus in the soil pile, finding that they were the same. Their roots had long been gnawed away. "That's right, it's here." Excited to hear that the bamboo rats were there, Go Ting eagerly searched the ground, hoping to find the entrance to their den. Unfortunately, after searching for a long time, he couldn't find it and, puzzled, said, "The soil is piled here, so why can't I see the bamboo rats' holes?" Qi Xiao said, "Bamboo rats are very clever. After entering their holes during the day, they dig soil themselves to cover them up so that predatory beasts can't find them. Look, I just need to clear away all this soil to find the real bamboo rats' holes." Qi Xiao pulled out all the rootless miscanthus and then quickly dug out the whole pile of soil with the bone plow, clearing it to one side. Sure enough, when the real ground was exposed, the bamboo rat's nest was revealed. Qi Xiao dug out the relatively loose soil and then dug deeply with the bone plow, going more than 20 or 30 centimeters deep. An elliptical hole mouth suddenly appeared in front of the three. Inside this hole were many miscanthus stems, which Qi Xiao pulled out entirely. Some were still oozing sap, indicating the bamboo rats were gnawing on them just now. Qi Xiao continued to dig with the bone plow, and after digging about 1/2 meter, she had already cleared out a big pile of soil. Luckily, Qi Xiao was a warrior and very strong, because using such a primitive tool as the bone plow to dig that much soil was exhausting. "Sis, let me do it." Jiang Xuan volunteered and took the bone plow from Qi Xiao's hands, continuing to dig inside. Unexpectedly, after digging for not too long, the soil hole suddenly split into 2 forks. Jiang Xuan was dumbfounded. He thought he just needed to keep digging down to find the bamboo rats, but no one expected the bamboo rats to have dug 2 tunnels. Which way should they dig? Qi Xiao said, "Bamboo rats are very cunning. Where they sleep and where they really hide are separate. The place where they sleep usually has a nest made of soft grass, and next to it, there will be a food storage granary. Even if they encounter a predator blocking them outside, they can survive inside relying on the food for 7 or 8 days. The place they really use to hide from predators is much deeper than where they sleep, and some even dig into other nests to escape directly." Qi Xiao went over to observe the positions of the 2 holes and then chose to first dig the left side tunnel with the bone plow, soon discovering a granary there, storing a large number of miscanthus roots and sprouts about 1 inch long. Digging a bit further, Qi Xiao finally found a nest woven from soft grass leaves, which clearly was where the bamboo rats usually slept. The tunnel ended here. Clearly, the bamboo rats had hidden in the deeper tunnels. Qi Xiao found a miscanthus stem nearly 2 meters long, pushed into the unfound tunnel for probing, discovered it was quite deep. Qi Xiao said helplessly, "Continue digging." Fortunately, the soil here is rather thick without many stones. Otherwise, we might dig until the end only to find the bamboo rat's tunnels hidden under a large stone and impossible to dig out. Go Tongue, you clear the miscanthus in front carefully and watch the ground. If the bamboo rat's tunnels go upward, they might burst open the ground to escape. Understood. Gotung immediately cleared away the miscanthus along the tunnel extension direction vigorously, then guarded there, listening carefully to the underground movements, not allowing the bamboo rats any chance to escape. Jiang Xuan and Qi Xiao took turns digging, and as they dug deeper, sounds finally came from within the tunnels. Gurgle, gurgle. There was the sound of soil rolling inside the tunnel, and the noise of bamboo rats digging sounded from within. Qi Xiao perked up and said, "Quickly reach the bottom. The bamboo rats are trying to dig and escape." Upon hearing this, Jiang Xuan dug faster. He was a one-color warrior and had eaten multiple whip tree fruits. His strength greatly increased, so even though he was using the bone plow, he dug soil quickly. "Stop!" Suddenly, Qi Xiao ordered Jiang Xuan to stop, her eyes fixed on the tunnel. She discovered that a furry head had protruded from the tunnel. It was a young bamboo rat. This juvenile bamboo rat was about the size of an adult fist. Clearly having no escape route, it simply crawled out to try its luck in escaping. As soon as the young bamboo rat emerged from the tunnel and tried to crawl outside, Qi Xiao's quick eyes and hands pinned its head with a wooden stick, not daring to use too much force, lest she crush it to death. With her other hand, she grabbed the young bamboo rat's tail and lifted it up. Huff, huff, clack, clack, clack. Though the young bamboo rat was small, it was fierce, making intimidating sounds from its mouth, moving its 2 large front teeth rapidly to scare off people. However, it looked too cute, coming off as adorable rather than frightening. Put in the beast hide bag first. Such a deep tunnel couldn't have been dug by this young bamboo rat. There must be more inside. Qi Xiao instructed Jiang Xuan to take down a beast hide bag and put the young bamboo rat inside, then continued monitoring the tunnel. After waiting for a long time without other bamboo rats emerging, the soil digging sound in the tunnel persisted instead. Qi Xiao immediately picked up the bone plow and resumed digging. Not long after digging, 2 more young bamboo rats came out, which Qi Xiao caught and put into the beast hide bag as well. Qi Xiao continued digging, and after a short while, the large bamboo rat inside realized it couldn't escape and finally gave up trying to dig, like the previous 3 young bamboo rats, opting to crawl out. Qi Xiao pinned down this large bamboo rat with a bone plow, then grabbed its hairless tail and lifted it upside down. Clack, clack, clack. This large bamboo rat was much bigger than the bamboo rats Jiang Xuan had seen in his previous life, weighing about 20 to 30 pounds, and was extremely ferocious. Its 2 large incisors continuously knocked against its bottom teeth threateningly, meanwhile turning its head in an attempt to bite Qi Xiao's hand. Unfortunately, once lifted upside down, it couldn't reach Qi Xiao's hand holding its tail. Qi Xiao put this large bamboo rat into the sturdy beast hide bag and smiled, saying, "Lucky catch, getting a bamboo rat with cubs, perfect for taking back to tame." Jiang Xuan smiled and said, "Thanks to sister's experience. Otherwise, even if we found this place, we wouldn't have caught them." Qi Xiao said, "I learned this experience from a hunting team back in the day. We've been out for a while today. Let's go home." The 3 set off for their return to the tribe with joyous hearts. Chapter 47. Taming the Bamboo Rat. After returning to the tribe, everyone was really excited to see that Jiang Xuan and the others had indeed caught a nest of large bamboo rats. "Leader, can this big bamboo rat be eaten now?" Nanxing exclaimed excitedly. Jiang Xuan said helplessly, "Why don't you think about it? If you eat this mother bamboo rat, what will happen to the 3 little ones? Nanxing scratched his head and said awkwardly, "Seems like you're right. These 3 little bamboo rats still seem to be nursing." Jiang Xuan continued, "Don't worry. Later when they reproduce in larger numbers, you will eventually get to eat them." Shiqiu on the side said, "I've eaten roasted large bamboo rat. The skin is roasted golden, and after breaking it open, oil comes out. It's so fragrant." Hearing him say this, everyone stared at those few large bamboo rats, secretly salivating, scaring the bamboo rats inside the beast hide bag into shivering. Jiang Xuan quickly warned, "I'll say it one more time. These bamboo rats are for breeding. No one is allowed to have any ideas about them. Whoever dares to secretly roast this bamboo rat, I'll beat them to death." With Jiang Xuan's words, everyone became obedient. After all, angering the leader for the sake of eating one bamboo rat was a very foolish thing. Jiang Xuan glanced at everyone, then carried the beast hide bag and walked toward the place where the Jiao was raising insects. The Jiao had already dug a new small cave, less than 2 meters deep, person height, which looked fairly round. When Jiang Xuan carried the beast hide bag over, the Jiao was still working on this new cave. If he had more time, he would be able to dig it a bit deeper. "The Jiao, the large bamboo rats have been dug up. From now on, it's up to you to tame them." The Jiao quickly put down his tools, came out of the cave, and took the beast hide bag from Jiang Xuan's hand. "Leader, don't worry. I will definitely raise these bamboo rats well." Jiang Xuan then instructed the Jiao on the essentials of breeding bamboo rats, such as not feeding water, and to dig some roots of grass rich in moisture for feeding, and also try feeding them small bamboo shoots, fresh reeds, and other plants. Additionally, if the mother bamboo rat gets pregnant, it should be bred separately from the male bamboo rat to prevent the male from biting the babies for its own desires. These experiences were all gained from Jiang Xuan's previous life breeding bamboo rats. In digging bamboo rats on a mountain, he wasn't as skilled as Qi Shao, but when it came to raising bamboo rats, he had considerable experience. "Did you remember it all?" Jiang Xuan asked after explaining, looking at the Jiao. "I remembered." The Jiao noted with his fingers, "No feeding water, feed grass roots, small bamboo shoots, reeds, separate breeding for pregnant mother bamboo rats." Jiang Xuan nodded, then added, "Also, if in the future the bamboo rats give birth to young ones, if they haven't grown fur and can't run yet, don't look at them or touch them. Otherwise, the babies will pick up human scent and be bitten to death by the mother." "Leader, I've remembered." The Jiao tried his best to remember every word Jiang Xuan had said, but Jiang Xuan said too much. He was actually a bit bewildered. Seeing the Jiao's expression, Jiang Xuan knew what was going on. "Don't be nervous. Just remember the earlier parts. If you forget something, or if you're uncertain, just come ask me. I will also come by often and have a look." "That's really great." The Jiao let out a sigh of relief. "All right, this nest of bamboo rats is entrusted to you. If breeding goes well, we will dig more in the future." "Leader, don't worry. I will do my best to raise them well." The Jiao promised chestly. Jiang Xuan nodded and planned to leave. But after walking only a couple of steps, he returned again, carefully inspecting the Jiao's cave, and frowned. "Keeping the 5-colored ducks in the cave is fine. Just make a wooden door, but for bamboo rats it's not feasible. They dig too well. They will escape." Then what should be done? The Jiao hadn't anticipated that after digging for half a day, the cave wouldn't be suitable for raising bamboo rats. Jiang Xuan frowned and thought for a long time, then said, "Unless the ground and walls are all built with stones, so they can't dig. Today is too late. Don't let the bamboo rats out. Let them stay in the beast hide bag. Tomorrow I'll gather people to build the cave." "All right." Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo hut. The Jiao placed the beast hide bag beside him, and as soon as there was any movement, he would quickly rise to check if the beast hide bag had been bitten through. Fortunately, after this night passed, the beast hide bag remained in good condition. The next day, Jiang Xuan brought 3 people and first dug several large baskets of clay by the creek, mixed the mud, then collected a large number of stones to brick the ground walls with stones little by little. The reason for using clay was that mixed clay is closer to cement, less likely to crack when dry, unlike ordinary soil, which cracks and falls when dried. After the ground and walls of the cave were all bricked with stones, Jiang Xuan also built up 1/3 of the cave entrance, leaving a door space for entry. This location requires placing a wooden lattice door, so no matter it's cleaning filth or feeding food, it's convenient. Of course, the wood chosen for the lattice door must be hard and sturdy enough, otherwise, it can easily be chewed through by the bamboo rats, then they escape. Actually, it's best to use an iron lattice door, but in this primitive tribe, there's no such condition. After finishing the wooden lattice door, Jiang Xuan also threw a heap of soft grass into the cave, letting them make nests and hide. Finally, Jiang Xuan had people cut some fresh reeds and dug some grass roots to throw into the cave, providing food for the bamboo rats. All right, now the bamboo rats can be placed in. The beast hide bag contained quite a few grass roots dug during catching the bamboo rats, and they also incidentally stuffed some in the beast hide bag when returning to provide food for the mother bamboo rat. De Jiao poured those grass roots, along with the large bamboo rat, small bamboo rats, from the beast hide bag into the brick cave. The large bamboo rat swiftly burrowed into the pile of grass to hide, with the 3 little bamboo rats following closely behind. Jiang Xuan closed the wooden lattice door, finally letting out a sigh of relief. Jiang Xuan turned to the 3 people who came to help and said, "Everyone worked hard. Tonight we'll have meat." Immediately those 3 beamed with joy. For tribal members, as long as they get to eat their fill, doing some work is nothing. Having meat to eat fills them with enthusiasm. Jiang Xuan also told De Jiao, "Keep an eye on this cave. Listen for any movement at night. Don't let the bamboo rats escape." "Leader, rest assured, I live right here. Any movement won't escape my ears." Ever since Jiang Xuan assigned De Jiao to specialize in breeding, De Jiao had assistance in constructing a bamboo hut in front of these caves, where he usually ate and slept, watching over the insects and 5-colored ducks, now added with a few bamboo rats. Jiang Xuan nodded and said, "Go over and collect a piece of meat later. You can simmer it in a pottery jar or roast it to eat. Also have a share?" De Jiao was somewhat incredulous. Jiang Xuan laughed. "Of course you do. You've been working hard these days. How can we leave you out when everyone's having meat tonight?" "Thank you, leader. Thank you, leader." De Jiao kept expressing gratitude. This feeling of being recognized made him very excited. "No need to thank me. It's what you deserve." Jiang Xuan patted De Jiao's shoulder and said, "Do well. Though now we only have 4 5-colored ducks for bamboo rats. If you take good care of them, eventually they'll proliferate into countless 5-colored ducks, countless bamboo rats. One day, everyone in the tribe will eat meat because of you. Everyone will thank you." De Jiao nodded heavily. His face was red with excitement. Chapter 48. The Old Man Riding the Eagle. August 8th. The sense of autumn is growing deeper. While the days remain very hot, the night's wind has become quite refreshing, even carrying a hint of chill. The fruits on the mountain and the crops of the vine tribe are all gradually maturing, making the scenes in the fields greatly pleasing. The insects of De Jiao, the 5-colored duck, the bamboo rats, and the fish in the pond are all being raised increasingly well. Those 5-colored ducks can even be tied with a rope to one leg and taken outside for a stroll. In the fields, Jiang Xuan carefully used the bone plow to dig into the soil, revealing the fist-sized, red-skinned, round potatoes underneath. Jiang Xuan said with satisfaction, "They're growing well. In a little while, these crops can be harvested." Standing by his side, Gansong displayed a simple smile on his face. Long hours of labor in the fields have gradually given him, once a hunting warrior, the spirit of an old farmer, with calluses all over his hands. "Chief, can we have a good harvest?" Ever since Jiang Xuan once described the scene of a full harvest with granaries filled, he has deeply remembered that word and has worked hard for it. In reality, these fields have been cultivated for less than a year, and their fertility is limited. These plants are being grown for the first time. Having faced pest disasters, the yield is definitely not high. However, no one in the vine tribe has seen what a true harvest looks like. Jiang Xuan, looking at Gansong's eager face, didn't want to dampen his spirit. Thus, Jiang Xuan decided to tell a little lie. "Of course we can have a harvest. You have grown these crops very well, much better than if they were wild. How could we not have a harvest? Gonsong's smile grew wider as he looked at the crops scattered around. A sense of fulfillment arose within him. This year, he had painstakingly cleared the land, planted seedlings, carefully nurtured them, fertilized and weeded, guarded against drought and flood, never daring to be careless. Now, as the harvest approaches, the excitement and satisfaction in his heart are something others cannot understand. Let's go see how those stone eggs are growing. Jiang Xuan headed towards the area where the stone eggs were planted, with Gonsong following closely behind. The stone eggs were planted beside the slope, according to Jiang Xuan's idea, trying them in 3 batches. The first batch of stone eggs was planted where there are large rocks, just like their wild growing environment. The second batch was planted in soil with many scattered stones. The third batch was planted in almost stone-free soil. Jiang Xuan first went to the area next to those large rocks. He discovered that the stone eggs here were growing particularly well, with sturdy vines and large underground tubers. Next, Jiang Xuan went to the soil where stones were relatively scattered. In this area, a thick branch was inserted beside each stone egg to help the vines twine. These stone eggs are growing slightly less well. The vines are not as thick as those seen earlier, the fruits not as large. Jiang Xuan reburied the soil he had dug up, with no change in expression. Let's go look at another place. Jiang Xuan had anticipated this situation long ago. His segmented trials were just his unwillingness to give up. Jiang Xuan then went to the area with nearly no stones, where the stone eggs indeed grew very poorly. The vines were thin, the leaves yellowish, and the fruits small and few. Beside him, Gonsong said reluctantly, "No matter how meticulously I care for the stone eggs in this plot, no matter how much I fertilize them, it's useless. Some seedlings even died outright." Jiang Xuan said, "It's all right. At least it proves that stone eggs only grow better beside large stones." Although Jiang Xuan said this, Gonsong still felt quite guilty. Jiang Xuan had no time to continue comforting Gonsong. Squatting on the ground, he was lost in thought. If the growth of stone eggs requires absorbing certain nutrient from stones, why was the growth in the rocky soil still unsatisfactory? Jiang Xuan suddenly lifted a vine of the stone eggs. He noticed that each section of the vine had many aerial roots. He found that the stone egg vines twined around large rocks had longer and thicker aerial roots compared to those in rocky soil. While in the stone-free area, the aerial roots of the stone egg vines were thin and short, almost invisible without closer inspection. Jiang Xuan speculated that the growth of stone eggs likely requires aerial roots on vines to absorb certain nutrients from stones for smooth growth. Jiang Xuan shared his findings with Gonsong. Gonsong pondered it carefully, slapped his thigh, and said, "Right. Why didn't I think of this? Chief, you're truly wise." Then, Gonsong said reluctantly, "From now on, we can only plant stone eggs beside large stones." Jiang Xuan said, "Actually, this is also a good thing." "A good thing?" Gonsong was puzzling over Jiang Xuan's words. "Correct." Jiang Xuan pointed to the surrounding slope. Here were never lacking stones. They would even become hindrances for growing other crops. But stone eggs happen to require these stones. Do you know what that means? Gonsong shook his head blankly. Hindered by his limited experience, he felt a bit overwhelmed. Jiang Xuan replied, "It means that all the stone-covered, thin-soiled slopes can become our crop fields, greatly expanding our farming lands. With expanded farmland, naturally the food yield increases, which is a great boon for our tribe." Exactly. Gonsong finally understood, and thinking of stone eggs spread throughout the hills, his mood was highly excited. Meanwhile, amid his admiration for Jiang Xuan, he felt more devoted to this young leader. After examining the stone eggs, Jiang Xuan went to check the growth of the round potatoes. These globular fruits, red-skinned tuber plants, appear to be growing quite well in the vine tribe's fields, and the yield this year should be decent. Besides the stone eggs and round potatoes, other crops varied in growth, all within acceptable limits. With these 30-plus acres of crops, coupled with the farmed insects, fish, five-colored ducks, and bamboo rats, The vine tribe should not worry about food shortages this winter. Moreover, Jiang Xuan even considered adding more people to the tribe. After all, the vine tribe's manpower was indeed too limited, increasingly insufficient as the tribe developed. After observing the crops, Jiang Xuan prepared to check the farmed areas. At this moment, Song suddenly pointed to the sky and shouted, "Chief, look, a large bird is flying towards us." Jiang Xuan looked up, seeing in the northeast sky a black bird swiftly approaching the vine tribe. There's a person on that big bird's back. Having become a warrior, Jiang Xuan's vision was much stronger than ordinary people's. He sharply noticed the large bird carrying a person. As the big bird swiftly approached, Song also saw clearly that it was indeed carrying a person. "Chief, he's coming straight towards us." The black bird did indeed head for the vine tribe, moving swiftly. Jiang Xuan sensed something was amiss. He shouted loudly, "Everyone, return to the bamboo house immediately." Upon hearing Jiang Xuan shout, the entire vine tribe of people, regardless of what they were doing, rushed towards the bamboo house, because there was a tunnel leading to beneath Stone Mountain. However, the bird was too fast. The distant tribe members had no time to escape into the bamboo house. The bird was already above the vine tribe, then landed on the ground. This was a bird with a wingspan of over 20 meters, unbelievably large, landing like a house-sized creature. A giant eagle, a savage and fierce predator. On the eagle's back was an old man dressed in beast-hide clothing, wearing a dazzling feathered crown, with totem patterns painted on his face. The old man casually glanced at the small vine tribe, utterly indifferent to its fleeing people. His gaze went to that massive ancient vine-entwining Stone Mountain. After a while, he exclaimed, "What a spiritual, divine vine!" Jiang Xuan, hiding in the bamboo house, heard the old man's words and immediately realized the old man was likely here for the ancient vine. This caused him a sense of tension. After all, the ancient vine is the vine tribe's totem god. This mysterious old man wouldn't want to do something to it, would he? Chapter 49, Strange Tribe. In the open space in front of the vine tribe, the giant eagle lowered its body as much as possible, then dropped one of its wings like a slanted staircase, allowing the elderly man on its back to descend smoothly. The mysterious old man seemed very aged, and his movements were extremely slow as he came down from the back of the giant eagle. After the old man stood on the ground, the giant eagle retracted its wings, its sharp eyes gazing arrogantly at the ancient vine on Stone Mountain. It didn't even spare a glance at the members of the vine tribe. Clearly, it was very confident, or perhaps powerful enough that the people of the vine tribe appeared to it no different than ordinary insects. The old man, however, seemed quite amiable. He looked around at the vine tribe surroundings, and his eyes showed a hint of surprise. The vast fields clearly were manually cultivated, and they were better than any he had ever seen in any tribe. The ponds with many fish, the wide roads, the well-built bamboo houses, and the robust members of the vine tribe all amazed him greatly. This astonishment was not lesser than what the divine vine had brought him. If this were a large tribe, it would be understandable, but it was a tribe as small as any he had ever seen. He felt an extremely odd sensation from this tribe, even speculating if it was a branch of some large tribe in the southern wilderness. The old man pondered for a long time without finding an answer, eventually having to give up guessing. Jiang Xuan and the others hid inside the bamboo house, gripping their weapons, watching the old man and the giant eagle beside him warily. If they detected any signs of aggression from the old man or the giant eagle, they would immediately dive into the tunnels to head to Stone Mountain, seeking the protection of the ancient vine. Even the ancient vine on Stone Mountain, at some point, had its surface covered in a layer of green light, with a slender branch floating up, emitting a faint green glow, gently swaying in the air. The old man straightened the feather crown on his head, adjusted his beast-hide clothing, and facing the ancient vine on Stone Mountain, said loudly, "Divine vine, I am merely a dying man and mean no harm to your tribe." This divine vine was, after all, the totem god of the tribe, terrifyingly powerful, at least not someone he or his giant eagle could handle, which the old man knew well. The divine vine seemed to understand his words, and the slender branch gradually drooped back down, with the green light on its body slowly fading away. The old man breathed a sigh of relief and called out to the people in the bamboo house, "Come out, don't be afraid. I won't harm you." Inside the bamboo house, Jiang Xuan had clearly heard the old man's words just now. He pondered them carefully, then opened the door. After all, this was the Vine tribe. As long as the old man was wary of the divine vine, he probably wouldn't dare make a move. Moreover, from the old man's attire, it was clear his status was out of the ordinary, and he likely wouldn't care about the possessions of the Vine tribe. "We can't go out." Qi Xiao grabbed him, her expression tense. Jiang Xuan reassured her. "This old man doesn't seem to be here to cause trouble. Besides, the Vine God is right behind us. It'll be fine. Then I'll go with you." Qi Xiao gripped her stone spear, following Jiang Xuan out the door of the bamboo house, her expression tense. "We'll go too." Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nanxing fearlessly grabbed their weapons and followed them out. The old man looked approvingly at the five, who were young yet displayed courage and unity. Jiang Xuan did not approach the old man. After all, the giant eagle was too intimidating, so he chose to stand at a relatively safe distance. The old man looked at Jiang Xuan standing at the forefront and asked, "Young man, what tribe is this? I want to meet your tribe's witch." Jiang Xuan replied, "This is the Vine tribe, newly established, and there is no witch." "No witch?" The old man looked at Jiang Xuan in astonishment, attempting to discern whether he was lying, then glanced again at the ancient vine on Stone Mountain, which remained unresponsive. "Then I wish to see your tribe's leader." Jiang Xuan, unfazed, replied, "I am the leader of the Vine tribe." "You're the leader?" The old man was dumbfounded, suspecting again that the young man might be deceiving him. The old man looked skeptically at the four people behind Jiang Xuan. Qi Xiao furrowed her brow slightly. "We have no need to deceive you. Xuan is indeed the leader of the Vine tribe." The three young men nodded in agreement, displeased by the old man's skeptical gaze. After experiencing so much, they had long admired Jiang Xuan deeply, unable to tolerate others questioning his role as the leader. Seeing the four's reaction, the old man finally believed that Jiang Xuan truly was the leader of this small tribe. Such few people, a youthful leader, yet they possessed a powerful totem god, and the tribe's people weren't emaciated from hunger. Their attire and belongings appeared decent, and they even cultivated crops. This small tribe was truly peculiar. The old man's curiosity about the Vine tribe was intensely piqued, eager to uncover the mystery behind this little tribe. The old man said to Jiang Xuan, "Leader, I would like to stay in your tribe for a while, if possible." To avoid being refused, the old man added, "Rest assured, I won't stay for free. The giant eagle will hunt daily, and apart from what we consume, the rest of the prey can be given to the Vine tribe." Food was the most crucial thing for tribesmen, as most tribes frequently faced hunger. Meat was particularly cherished by them. The old man believed that with the offer of prey, Jiang Xuan would certainly not refuse. Moreover, given the size of the giant eagle, anyone with sense would realize that its catches would likely be large prey, prime meat. However, Jiang Xuan did not immediately agree. When he heard about gifting prey, his expression showed little change, calm unlike that of a young person or even a tribesperson. Jiang Xuan asked, "Old sir, we'll discuss your stay later. May I ask, where are you from and where are you headed?" The old man answered candidly, "I come from the distant eastern wilderness, wanting to travel around before I die, with no specific destination." The eastern wilderness? Jiang Xuan was taken aback. He recognized the name. It was from some legendary stories in his predecessor's memory. It is said that the primordial world had 4 vast wildernesses: eastern, western, southern, and northern wilderness. Even the southern wilderness alone was vast beyond measure, and the tribespeople's knowledge leaned toward insularity. Many even though the other 3 wildernesses were mere legends, and that the southern wilderness constituted the entire world. Jiang Xuan couldn't figure out how far the 4 wildernesses were from one another, but one thing was clear. A lone person riding a giant eagle from the eastern to the southern wilderness could not be ordinary. Jiang Xuan's gaze at the old man became complex, for he couldn't determine whether the old man was speaking truth or not. Not to mention the distant eastern wilderness, even the southern wilderness, Jiang Xuan only knew about the small area he had lived in, knowing nothing about other regions. However, there was one thing he was certain of, that the old man's identity was definitely extraordinary, and he probably came here by chance, unlikely to do any harm to the people of the Vine tribe. In other words, besides some planning techniques, the Vine tribe currently had nothing particularly valuable to attract attention. Even the pottery cauldron was not unique to the Vine tribe. Some large tribes also crafted pottery cauldrons for cooking. These were very ancient, traditional cookware. As for whether the mysterious old man had any designs on the divine vine, Jiang Xuan was unsure. To put it bluntly, given the Vine tribe's current strength, even if someone had intentions, they couldn't stop them. They would have to rely on the divine vine to handle it themselves. Furthermore, Jiang Xuan was very curious to learn about the outside world. This old man represented a good opportunity. After thinking through these points, Jiang Xuan's tense nerves relaxed slightly. Jiang Xuan eased his tone, saying, "Since you are a guest from the distant eastern wilderness, the Vine tribe cannot turn you away. Old Sir may temporarily stay in the Vine tribe, but it will be necessary to build a new bamboo house on the open space outside, as the giant eagle is too large and difficult to accommodate here." The old man had no objections to this. "Anywhere will do. The leader can make the arrangements." Jiang Xuan nodded, then immediately sought help in constructing a simple bamboo house on the open land of the tribe's outskirts for the old man to temporarily reside. Chapter 50. The Helpful Elderly. On the outskirts of the Vine tribe, a bamboo hut had appeared, home to a mysterious old man and a fearsome giant eagle. Initially, the people of the tribe were not quite accustomed to it and were quite fearful of the giant eagle. After some time, they discovered that the mysterious old man was quite kind, and the giant eagle would not attack people indiscriminately, so they slowly accepted the presence of the old man and the giant eagle. August 15th. Choo-choo-choo. By the small stream, Nanxing practiced blowing the bone whistle continuously. He had now learned how to use the bone whistle to mimic bird calls and occasionally managed to get the birds in the trees to call back. He then tried to use the bone whistle to mimic the call of a deer, but the sound from the bone whistle was always a bit off, making him feel somewhat frustrated. After blowing for so long, it's still not working. Nanxing had always wanted to mimic the hunting team from the deer tribe by using the bone whistle to produce an almost lifelike call of a deer, enough to attract deer during mating season. This had become an obsession in his heart. Unfortunately, after many attempts, he kept failing. "Young man, why do you look so glum?" The mysterious old man approached from a distance, standing before Nanxing, his expression gentle as he inquired. Nanxing was silent. Like all the people of the Vine tribe, he was wary of this mysterious old man. The old man, however, seemed to see through his thoughts, smiling as he said, "You need not be afraid. I'm just an old man nearing the end of his days. Walking is laborious enough. I can't harm you." Nanxing thought this was true. The old man was very aged and looked frail, and with the giant eagle not by his side, what was there to fear? After all, he was a one-color warrior. Nanxing's wariness relaxed a little, but he still didn't speak, keeping his head slightly lowered. The old man glanced at the bone whistle in his hand and asked, "Let me guess, is it this bone whistle? Could you let me have a look?" Nanxing, feeling disappointed with the bone whistle, handed it to the old man. The old man took the bone whistle, rubbed it with his hands, and said, "The material is good, but the finishing is a bit rough, which makes the sound inaccurate." Nanxing raised his head, looking at the old man in surprise. "How do you know the sound isn't accurate? I've been hearing you blow it for a while now." "I see." Nanxing lowered his head again, feeling a bit embarrassed. The old man pointed at the bone whistle and said, "These 3 holes are a bit small and not smooth, so the sound produced is not accurate. If you don't mind, I can help you polish it again. After polishing, will it produce the sound of a deer call?" Nanxing looked at the old man with hope. The old man didn't give a definitive answer. Probably. It should be better than it is now. Well then, please help me polish it. After saying that, Nanxing suddenly remembered something and added, I can give you some wild fruits. They're very sweet. The old man smiled and said, sure. After speaking, the old man found a large, flat stone to sit on, and then took out a small stone knife from a beast hide bag he carried. The small stone knife was a pale yellow color, just about the length of a palm and over a finger wide, appearing quite petite. On the side of the stone knife were some ancient primitive pictograms, but Nanxing couldn't recognize them. Nanxing's eyes brightened, and he couldn't help but say, what a beautiful stone knife. It should be gem-level stone, right? The old man smiled and nodded, saying, you have a good eye. This knife has been with me for many years. It wasn't this small before, but after countless uses, it's worn down to its current size. Nanxing's eyes were filled with envy. For most tribe members, a gem-level stone knife is a coveted treasure. This is because ordinary stone isn't hard enough and wears down easily, requiring frequent replacements. But knives made from gem-level stones are resistant to wear and breakage. One can last for many years, just like the one in the old man's hand, the handle polished with use over time. The old man sat on a large stone and started helping Nanxing polish the bone whistle with the small stone knife. He placed the knife tip into the holes of the bone whistle, constantly rotating it, scraping off layers of bone powder, gradually enlarging the holes until all 3 holes on the bone whistle became smooth and nearly the same size. Then he found a coarse stone by the stream, poured some water on it, and polished both ends of the bone whistle until they were very smooth. As time ticked by, after more than an hour, the old man finally finished the polishing. Try blowing it again. The old man handed the bone whistle back to Nanxing. Nanxing took the bone whistle, surprised to find that after the old man's polishing, both the feel and appearance of the bone whistle had greatly improved. With an excited heart, Nanxing placed the bone whistle to his lips and blew it tentatively. Chew! The first sound he made was a bird call, which was very pleasant, much better than before. With growing excitement, Nanxing tried to blow a deer call again. Yo, yo! This time, it actually worked. After the repolishing, the bone whistle produced a deer call nearly identical to that of a real great horned deer. Fantastic! Nanxing jumped up excitedly. He never expected that his failure to produce a deer call with the bone whistle was due to insufficient polishing on his part. Old man, I'll go get you some wild fruits now. Please wait for me. Overjoyed, Nanxing dashed back to the bamboo hut. Jiang Xuan, who was inside polishing arrowheads, saw Nanxing's energetic demeanor and curiously asked, Nanxing, what happened that's made you so happy? Chief, look, my bone whistle can produce a deer call now. Much like a child showing off a new toy, Nanxing took out the bone whistle and blew it a few times in front of Jiang Xuan. Jiang Xuan was surprised to find that the bone whistle indeed emitted a deer call. It was the old man with the giant eagle who helped me polish it. I promised to give him some wild fruits as a reward. Nanxing looked imploringly at Jiang Xuan, saying, Chief, can I give him some red-haired fruits? Of course you can, go ahead. Jiang Xuan readily agreed. After all, they were just some wild fruits, and it was autumn when the forests were abundant with them. Thank you, Chief. Ecstatic, Nanxing ran to a corner of the bamboo hut, found a large vine basket, and lifted the dried bamboo leaves covering it. Inside the basket were wild fruits that the tribe called red-haired fruits, resembling kiwis in appearance. These wild fruits had lots of red fuzz on their skin, and once peeled, revealed sweet, fragrant flesh. Nanxing wrapped up a dozen red-haired fruits in his beast hide, clothing, and ran back to the stream, presenting them to the old man. These are red-haired fruits. Peel the skin, and you can eat them. They're very sweet. The old man didn't refuse. He peeled one of the red-haired fruits, tasted it, and nodded in satisfaction. It's really sweet. See, I told you so. Nanxing beamed brightly, displaying a neat row of teeth. In the following days, this mysterious old man often helped the people of the Vine tribe solve some issues. Gradually, though they hadn't fully accepted him, they were no longer as hostile towards him as before. Jiang Xuan was puzzled by the old man's actions, though he discerned that this mysterious old man was very knowledgeable and skilled, likely hailing from a large tribe. Anyway, besides the totem god, the vine tribe didn't have much anyone would scheme for. For now, the benefits of the old man's existence outweighed the drawbacks. However, Jiang Xuan was a cautious person and didn't fully relax his vigilance. He just didn't show it. Chapter 51. The Fearsome Vine Tribe. That's the tribe up ahead. Everyone be cautious. In the forest to the south of the Vine Tribe, 2 hunting teams from the Mosquito Tribe, over 100 warriors quietly approached. After a period of conflict, the Mosquito Tribe had already established itself on the other side of the Great Swamp, and its friction with several other tribes had lessened. The Mosquito Tribe holds grudges and has not forgotten the hunting team that was wiped out in this area. Therefore, once they settled down, they immediately sent 2 hunting teams to explore the Vine Tribe situation. If the Vine Tribe wasn't very strong, they planned to launch a massive attack, seizing the Vine Tribe's winter provisions and materials, and avenging those who had been killed before by the Vine Tribe. Winter is the most dreadful season of the year, a nightmare for all tribes. Because in winter, heavy snow blocks the mountains, and the cold is unbearable, making it difficult to gather food. Every winter, many tribes experience the freezing and starvation deaths of frail elders, children, and the sick. Therefore, every autumn, all tribes frantically stockpile food. The more food reserves they have, the fewer deaths in winter. What happens to those tribes that haven't stored enough food by the winter? Simple, they raid other tribes. Every autumn, wars erupt among the various tribes in the primitive jungle. The victor gains more resources, while the defeated suffers heavy casualties and even extermination. The Deer Tribe, where Jiang Xuan's original self was from, was annihilated by the Crow Tribe in the tribal wars last fall. That's the cruel reality of survival in this barbaric world. The 2 hunting teams advanced slowly, left and right. They were all warriors with extensive hunting experience, and most of the traps set by the Vine Tribe were detected and dismantled by them. Gradually, they drew closer and closer to the Vine Tribe. Whoosh whoosh, a wind blew past, and dozens of ghastly pale skulls dangled from tree branches ahead, swaying in the breeze. Those are Who Wins skulls. The Mosquito Tribe warriors saw the scene, and fury flared within them, yearning to storm the Vine Tribe and avenge their kin immediately. Keep going. The leaders of the 2 hunting teams remained calm. They waved their hands and led the teams onward. Then, they spotted a bamboo house from afar. This bamboo house was situated on the outermost part of the Vine Tribe, on a clearing beside the southern forest. To enter the Vine Tribe from the southern forest, one had to pass by this bamboo house. The Mosquito Tribe warriors noticed an old man sitting leisurely on a stump in front of the bamboo house, enjoying the view. Beside the bamboo house lay various enormous beast bones scattered around. Accustomed to dealing with beasts, the Mosquito Tribe's hunting team easily identified that these bones belonged to formidable beasts. The largest one should be the skull of a giant horned beast, the skeleton of a black-winged rhinoceros. Look, don't those resemble the shells of 2-toothed beasts? As the Mosquito Tribe hunters continued to identify the bones, they felt their scalps tingle. These beast bones belonged to gigantic, formidable beasts, massive in size and strong in combat. No small tribal hunting team would dare provoke them, especially because these bones appeared relatively fresh, not weathered and moss-covered. Terrifying. What kind of tribe is this? One hunting team leader hesitated. Any tribe capable of hunting so many giant beasts would at least be moderate-sized, beyond what the small Mosquito Tribe could handle. Another hunting team leader swallowed hard, thinking he understood why Huan's hunting team had perished here. Provoking such a mighty tribe was courting death. The 2 hunting teams halted, everyone feeling a shiver down their spines, too afraid to move forward. Just then, the old man in front of the bamboo house turned his head, seemingly detecting their presence in the forest. The Mosquito Tribe warriors noticed the vibrant feathered crown on the old man's head and his piercing gaze, inexplicably feeling anxious. Suddenly, a terrifying giant eagle appeared in the sky, flying over the forest like a small cloud. Its talons clutched a giant beast that had already died. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The giant eagle stirred up a whirlwind, forcing the tree branches down as dry leaves and twigs flew everywhere. Thud! The giant eagle landed beside the bamboo house, standing taller than the house itself, its size astonishing. Soon, the eagle began tearing strips of meat from its prey with its sharp beak, giving a portion to the old man, then happily feasting itself. Go back, hurry back. The mosquito tribe's hunting teams were thoroughly frightened. The leaders exchanged glances, seeing the fear in each other's eyes. They weren't sure of the vine tribe's strength, but just the giant eagle alone could easily slaughter them all. This tribe is terrifying. Yes, let's go. If we're discovered, we'll end up like Who Wins hunting team. The two leaders glanced at the pale skulls hanging on the branches, swallowing hard, before ordering the retreat. Thus, the two hunting teams from the mosquito tribe, over 100 warriors, were scared away. Not only that, when they returned, they described the vine tribe as a formidable force, utterly beyond mosquito tribe's power to contend with. If only one person said this, it might be dismissed, but after 2 investigations with 2 hunting teams, the conclusion remained the same. The mosquito tribe's leader, and which finally accepted the vine tribe's daunting power, temporarily abandoning thoughts of revenge or looting the vine tribe. They were unaware that the real vine tribe still consisted of just a dozen people, with only 5 one-color warriors, barely qualifying as a micro-tribe. The arrival of the mysterious old man inadvertently averted a major crisis for the vine tribe, giving them more time to develop. At the outskirts of the vine tribe, after noticing the outsiders left, the old man no longer looked that way. Having lived to such an age, what situations hasn't he seen? Such trivial matters were of little concern. On the contrary, he was more intrigued by this peculiar micro-tribe, the vine tribe, willing to stay longer and delve deeper into this tribe of few numbers, yet capable of hunting and farming. The old man hung the strip of meat over his bamboo house hearth, then jovially headed towards the bamboo house where Jiang Xuan and others resided. He was a man of his word. Each time the giant eagle caught prey, he shared the meat with the vine tribe after he and the eagle were sated. Sharing so much, Jiang Xuan felt obliged and frequently reciprocated with gifts. Over time, their relationship improved, and the vine tribe members grew less wary of the mysterious old man. Chapter 52. Snakebite. Something's wrong. The Jiao has been bitten by a venomous snake. Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, and Gotong had just returned from hunting when they heard someone shouting frantically within the tribe. Let's go over and take a look. Jiang Xuan dropped his prey on the ground and hurried over, followed closely by Qi Xiao and Gotong. Over at the breeding area, 7 or 8 people were already gathered, creating a noisy commotion. The Jiao sat on the ground, his face pale as a ghost. On his calf were 2 deep fang marks, and the blood flowing out was black, clearly showing that it was highly toxic. Move aside. Why are you crowding so tightly? Jiang Xuan shouted, dispersing the crowd and preventing them from continuing to surround the Jiao. Then he squatted down, glanced at the Jiao's leg wound, and his brows furrowed deeply. Snakes are divided into venomous and non-venomous types, and the bite marks left by them are different. Non-venomous snakes do not have fangs. Their bite marks are 2 rows and relatively dense, usually not very deep, and if a snake isn't large, it would only break the skin slightly. But venomous snakes are different. Venomous snakes usually have 2 long fangs in their mouths, which, when biting humans or animals, penetrate deeply into the flesh and inject lethal venom. The wound onto Jiao's leg clearly indicated a venomous snake bite, and it looked quite potent. How long has it been since you were bitten? Jiang Xuan asked while fetching a beast hide rope. Just a short while ago. The Jiao was sweating profusely, clearly terrified. In the primitive jungle, many people get bitten by various venomous snakes or insects each year. The lucky ones can survive, while the unlucky ones die. Faced with the threat of death, few can remain unafraid. Where's the snake that bit you? It ran away. What kind of snake bit you? De Jiao described the appearance of the venomous snake, which was a relatively common one in the jungle with venom not particularly intense. This made Jiang Xuan breathe a little easier. I'll first bind your leg to prevent the venom from spreading. Jiang Xuan used a woven beast hide rope to tightly bind De Jiao's calf just below the knee, preventing the venomous blood from flowing to other parts of the body. Jiang Xuan searched in the beast hide bag and found a stone shard with the sharpest and most pointed edge. This stone shard was similar to obsidian. Although somewhat brittle, its thin fractured surface was extremely sharp, typically used by Jiang Xuan for skinning beast hides. Bear with it. Jiang Xuan couldn't afford to sterilize the stone shard and, after taking a deep breath, decisively used the sharp stone shard to cut open the snake bite wound, enlarging the wound. He made 2 cuts onto Jiao's calf, forming a cross to release the toxic blood. Then, following De Jiao's leg, he squeezed from the top down to quickly expel the toxic blood. As Jiang Xuan continued to squeeze, the black blood flowed out from the open wound, leaving bloodstains on the ground. While squeezing the toxic blood, Jiang Xuan said to Qi Xiao beside him, "Sister, I can only try to expel the toxic blood. Finding medicine to detoxify is up to you. I'll go find the antidote right away." Qi Xiao hurriedly ran off. The tribesmen, having faced various venomous snakes and insects over time, had accumulated considerable experience in dealing with them, and had discovered many effective antidotes from various plants. Qi Xiao was familiar with the plants that grow near the vine tribe, and knew where to find medicine to treat snake bites. At some point, the mysterious old man also showed up. He heard someone was bitten by a snake and intended to help, but upon arrival, saw Jiang Xuan already handling the situation, so he quietly observed from the side. Seeing Jiang Xuan bind De Jiao's leg with a beast hide rope, cut open the wound with a stone shard, and squeeze out the toxic blood, he noted De Jiao's condition wasn't worsening, thus remained silent. In fact, if he had treated De Jiao, he would have used a more commonly applied method by the tribesmen: burning. The specific method involved directly taking a burning piece of firewood and placing it on the snake bite, roasting the flesh around the wound. This method is extremely crude, and the person being burned would endure great pain, yet it's effective when the bite is fresh. Snake venom is essentially a protein, albeit toxic. After being burned at high temperatures, the venom changes from highly toxic to harmless. Also, with the burnt flesh and small blood vessels around the wound, the blood coagulates, preventing the toxic blood from spreading. Of course, whether it's bloodletting, suction, or high-temperature burning, these methods are effective only if treated shortly after the bite. If the toxic blood has spread over time, these methods are no longer effective. In such a case, one might have to be carried over to the totem god, praying for divine protection. Shortly afterward, Qi Xiao returned with some plant roots and stalks. She quickly found a relatively flat stone, placed part of the plant root and stalk on it, and crushed them with another stone. 8-angled lotus, nice. The mysterious old man nodded approvingly, evidently agreeing with Qi Xiao's choice of medicine for detoxifying and healing De Jiao. This plant, collected by Qi Xiao, was known by the tribesmen as 8-angled lotus, named for its leaves that each had 8 angles, and its rhizome was commonly used medicinally. 8-angled lotus could treat snake bites, and was also often used for healing injuries and treating unidentified swellings. With its venomous properties throughout the plant, Qi Xiao opted to crush it on a stone rather than chew it directly. Those unfamiliar with using this medicine might harm themselves instead of helping. After Qi Xiao crushed it, Jiang Xuan had expelled most of the toxic blood. Qi Xiao quickly applied the crushed rhizome to De Jiao's wound, then covered it with a web-like material to keep the medicine in place. Qi Xiao said to Jiang Xuan, "Keep an eye on him, change the medicine periodically. I'll go roast these 8-angled lotus roots." Jiang Xuan nodded. "All right, I'll manage here." Qi Xiao hurried back to the bamboo hut, retrieved some burning charcoal from the hearth, placed a thin stone slab on it, and roasted 8-angled lotus root on the slab. The thin stone slab quickly heated up from the charcoal, gradually cooking the root. Without this slab, tossing the rhizome directly into charcoal would burn its skin, lessening its effectiveness. Qi Shao occasionally used a stick to turn over the rhizome on the slab until it was fully roasted, then wrapped it in a leaf and returned to the breeding area. During this, Jiang Xuan had already loosened the beast hide rope once to prevent De Jiao's leg from becoming necrotic due to prolonged blood circulation restriction. Qi Shao approached De Jiao and handed him the leaf-wrapped root. "Eat it quickly." De Jiao gratefully looked at Qi Shao, then ate all the roasted rhizome. Qi Shao watched as he finished eating and checked the wound again, seeing the wound was no longer black, and she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Provided there are no unexpected events, with the binding preventing venom spread, the widened wound to release blood, plus both internal and external application of the antidote, De Jiao's life should be saved. Jiang Xuan called out, "Let's carry De Jiao back to the bamboo hut." The surrounding people immediately carefully lifted De Jiao and carried him back to the bamboo hut, placing him on the bed. After the crowd dispersed, the old man stayed behind, his eyes glittering. The method of rescue used by Jiang Xuan was one he had never employed, yet it seemed quite effective. This small tribe truly brought him many surprises. Chapter 53. Witch Doctor Technique. In the bamboo hut, Jiang Xuan sat before De Jiao's bed. "Tell me, how did you get bitten by the poisonous snake?" Jiang Xuan asked, puzzled. De Jiao lowered his head in embarrassment and said, I lost my grip while catching the snake." "Why were you trying to catch a snake?" "Because that snake entered the cave and started eating the insects. I was really angry when I saw it, so I tried to catch it with my hands. I didn't expect the snake to be so fast, and it turned back to bite me." "I see." Jiang Xuan suddenly understood. Snakes are carnivorous and have a diverse diet, consuming small animals like frogs, mice, birds, and various insects. The insects De Jiao was breeding in the cave naturally fell within the snake's menu. It was only routine for the poisonous snake to sneak in and feast when it found them. Actually, the poisonous snakes around the vine tribe have been cleared several times, with most ending up in the pot. But this is the primitive forest, so it's impossible to completely clear them. Elsewhere, the snakes will keep coming in. If poisonous snakes frequent this area, it could indeed become an issue. Jiang Xuan furrowed his brow, feeling at a loss for any good solutions. Without knowing how to make snake-repelling powder, the tribe would simply have to catch them as they see them and remind everyone to stay vigilant. Elsewhere, Qi Shao returned to the bamboo hut shortly after washing her hands, prepared some food, only to find that mysterious elder had already approached. "Old man, do you need something?" Qi Shao stood up, still holding a piece of jerky. With a burning gaze, the mysterious elder looked at Qi Shao and said, "Do you want to learn witch doctor technique?" "What?" Qi Shao felt a bit puzzled. I asked, "Do you want to learn witch doctor technique?" The elder repeated, Witch doctor technique?" Qi Shao was stunned. This was something only a witch could learn. "Yes, if you're willing to learn, I can teach you." The expression on the mysterious elder's face was serious, not as if joking. "Old man, who exactly are you?" This seemed like a great opportunity, like jerky dropping from the sky. But Qi Shao wasn't naive. Before the jerky hit the ground, she wouldn't rush to catch it, lest it crush her. The mysterious elder spoke calmly. "It's not much to tell. Actually, I am the previous witch of the Eastern Wilderness Eagle tribe." Qi Shao was taken aback. He was indeed a witch. In any tribe, a witch is the most vital soul figure, and wouldn't leave the tribe easily, not without a large group of warriors for protection. For security, every witch typically stays in the tribe until their last breath. Why would he arrive here with a giant eagle? Despite having many questions inside, Qi Shao remained silent, simply listening quietly. The mysterious elder's eyes revealed a nostalgic expression. "Since I was young, I've been in the tribe, being cultivated to be a witch. After I turned 20, I was determined as the next witch, and from then on, I haven't left the tribe. Virtually spending my whole life in the tribe, whenever I go somewhere protected by the tribe's warriors, engaged in ceremonies, healing, recording, imparting knowledge. These mundane matters occupy almost all my life. The tribe people in the Eagle tribe yearn for freedom, and so do I. However, I can only watch the warriors ride their giant eagles to fly about, while I'm stuck doing those tedious, monotonous things in the tribe. Until one day, I discovered that I was quite old, with only a few years left to live. I realized that if I didn't get out soon, I'd end up like other witches, dying in the tribe, becoming a pile of bones. Thus, I passed the position of witch to my early chosen successor. He's excellent, more patient than me, more fit to be a witch. I declined the tribe's warrior protection, left the tribe with the giant eagle I had raised from childhood, traveling from eastern wilderness to southern wilderness to see this vast world. At this point, the mysterious elder, or the old witch, had essentially concluded his self-narrative. Looking at Chi Xiao, the old witch said, "Until today, I saw your tribe member bitten by the poisonous snake. I suddenly realized that witchcraft and other knowledge I can leave to the eagle tribe. But the witch doctor technique on healing should not be buried with me. I should pass it down, allowing it to save more people. Although your vine tribe is small, I see an intense vitality within your tribe. I believe you'll slowly grow robust and carry on. Things belonging to the witch, I cannot teach you, but my lifelong experience in healing and saving lives, I can offer you." The old witch gazed fervently at Chi Xiao and asked, "So, do you want to learn witch doctor technique?" The old witch's speech was packed with information, and Chi Xiao spent quite a bit of time recovering from the shock before slowly regaining composure. Why? Why me? Chi Xiao couldn't grasp why the old witch had chosen her. Your leader is also impressive, but being the leader, most of his time is spent fighting for the tribe. Learning witch doctor technique requires a long period of study, identifying various herbs. This process might take years or decades, and a leader simply doesn't have that much time to learn. With a gentle look at Chi Xiao, the old witch said, "You're different. I've learned that you know many herbs and can use them to simply treat and heal, making you more fitting than the leader to learn the witch doctor technique." Chi Xiao was silent. The old witch was very sincere, yet this came so unexpectedly that she was unsure whether to accept. The old witch seemed to anticipate her thoughts, saying, "You can study with me for a while and decide after trying it. On sunny days, you can go hunting, gathering, and during rainy or snowy weather, or when you have free time, you can learn witch doctor technique from me. How's that?" The old witch looked at Chi Xiao with anticipation, being very sincere in his demeanor. Chi Xiao thought it over. Trying wouldn't be any loss. Thus, she nodded. "I have one other request. Regardless of whether you learn witch doctor technique from me, I hope you can promise me something. Tell me." The old witch's gaze turned ancient. "I'm already very old. Perhaps 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 or 5. Life will meet its end. When that day truly arrives, I hope you could wrap my body in a piece of beast hide tied to the giant eagle's back and let it take me home." Chi Xiao nodded without hesitation and said, "I promise you, I'll find the best beast hide for the giant eagle to take you home when the time comes." The old witch nodded with a smile and said, "With that, I have no regrets." After letting go of a matter weighing on his mind, the old witch had a pleasant conversation with Chi Xiao discussing ways to treat poisonous snake bites and the herbs used to neutralize snake venom. That night, Chi Xiao told Jiang Xuan about the matter, and Jiang Xuan was very pleased, supporting Chi Xiao's learning of witch doctor technique. This would add a level of security when tribe members fell ill in the future. From that day forth, whenever Chi Xiao had spare time, she would learn witch doctor technique with the old witch. She was a highly diligent learner and remarkably gifted. She could memorize the properties and effects of various herbs after only a few looks, which made the old witch very happy, thus teaching her even more devotedly. Chapter 54. Harvest. The first year of the Vine tribe's founding, August 20th. As the autumn wind arises in just a few days, the golden hue of crops fills the farmland of the Vine tribe. In the fields, Jiang Xuan personally holds the bone plow and, under everyone's gaze, carefully digs out a large round potato with a crimson skin and holds it high above his head. It's harvest time. Joy radiating from Jiang Xuan's face, he shouted loudly, and his resonant voice spread throughout the entire tribe. All the tribespeople of the Vine tribe immediately cheered. Although there weren't many people, the tribe had loud voices, creating quite a stir. Even the old witch, who was not part of the Vine tribe, was infected by the atmosphere and looked somewhat excited. Start digging. Gonsong single-handedly wielded the bone plow and promptly began working after the cheers. Soon, everyone joined the ranks of those digging round potatoes. After working hard for half a year, the time for harvest finally arrived. Watching one round potato after another being dug up from the ground, everyone felt genuinely happy. This was food. From time to time, the joyful laughter and chatter of the tribespeople resounded in the fields, even though they worked hard till they were drenched in sweat. No one complained of tiredness, nor did anyone slack off. With this food, they didn't have to worry about the issue of food scarcity in the winter. The old witch walked among the fields, picked up a round potato, wiped the soil off it, and said excitedly, "Through planting, we can reap so much food." Although he had long noticed that the planting style of the Vine tribe was different from other tribes, he was still deeply shocked when he saw the crop yield of the Vine tribe firsthand. Actually, in the eastern wilderness, large tribes had basically abandoned slash-and-burn agriculture, accumulating some planting experience through extended practice. Even so, their planting methods remained very backward. The food obtained through planting was far less than what was obtained by raising some herbivorous animals. Not just in the eastern wilderness, but elsewhere as well. Large tribes mainly focused on hunting, raising some herbivorous animals, planting high-yield and easy-to-grow fruit trees, and wild vegetables to satisfy the food needs of the tribespeople. They also understood the importance of tilling the soil, and tools like the bone plow and hand plow were invented based on this need. They learned to weed, catch bugs, and even learned the basics of fertilization like scattering some wood ash and burying some bones in the ground. However, since their main focus wasn't planting, their accumulated experience was very limited. Moreover, when encountering natural disasters or pest disasters, the planted crops could fail completely. Because of this, the tribespeople didn't pay much attention to planting and spent most of their energy on hunting and taming herbivorous beasts. So, when the old witch discovered the Vine tribe's planted crops yielded such high results, he was struck by an indescribable sense of shock. The old witch walked to Jiang Xuan's side, grabbed his hand, and looked with bright eyes at the large round potato in his hand, urgently asking, "How did you do it?" "What?" Jiang Xuan felt a bit bewildered, as the old witch's state was a bit frantic. "Why can the round potatoes planted by your Vine tribe reap so many?" Jiang Xuan finally understood what the old witch was asking, and he initially thought the old witch was crazy. Jiang Xuan said, "Actually, it's nothing much, just some planting experience. Just explaining won't make you understand easily. Wouldn't it be better to stay in our tribe for a year and see for yourself?" "See for yourself?" The old witch frowned, pondering for a while. Then he released Jiang Xuan's hand, his brow relaxed, but his eyes became more resolute. "All right, then I'll strive to live a long life and see for myself." Jiang Xuan smiled and said, "I'll first take this round potato back. It's the first one we've dug up this year. We'll use it to worship the Vine God." "Worship?" The old witch precisely picked up the key part of Jiang Xuan's words. "Yes, if not for the protection of the Vine God, our small tribe would be long gone. Now that the crops have been harvested and the breeding has achieved initial success, the food within the tribe is relatively abundant. I'm planning to take this opportunity to hold an autumn sacrificial ritual to thank the Vine God. Moreover, if the Vine tribe can smoothly grow stronger, we'll hold a sacrificial ceremony after every autumn harvest in the future, using the best grains, fish, livestock, and pray as offerings to worship the Vine God." Jiang Xuan had been thinking about this for a long time. Wanting to have the divine vine protect the tribe for a long time requires giving back to the divine vine and cannot be one-sided. Holding rituals is the best way to give back to the divine vine. Rich offerings can allow the divine vine to absorb more nutrients and grow better. Jiang Xuan speculates this might be why the divine vine agreed to become the guardian god of the tribe. In the current situation, the divine vine cannot move, at least not now. Under these circumstances, as it continues to grow, the soil under Stone Mountain will only become increasingly barren, forcing the divine vine to stretch its roots desperately or rely on occasionally captured prey. Over time, fierce beasts and birds of prey in the vicinity will refrain from approaching, making it difficult for the divine vine to acquire more nutrients. The arrival of Jiang Xuan and others, and their worship solved the problem of the divine vine's difficulty in absorbing more nutrition. The divine vine protects the tribe, and the tribe uses various offerings to repay the divine vine. This is entirely mutually beneficial for the vine tribe and the divine vine. The larger the vine tribe grows, the more offerings the divine vine receives, and it grows stronger, forming a positive cycle. The old witch nodded and said, "Indeed, it's time to hold a good sacrificial ritual. However, your tribe doesn't have a witch. Who will preside over the sacrificial ceremony?" Jiang Xuan awkwardly said, "I presided over the last one. You know how to perform rituals?" The old witch looked at Jiang Xuan in disbelief. "I don't," Jiang Xuan honestly replied. "Then how did you preside over it?" "Just placing the offerings on the altar, then inviting the vine god to enjoy, and praying for the vine god's protection of the tribe. You don't need to say any more, I understand." The old witch's mouth twitched slightly, and he turned his head slightly. As someone who learned various ritual etiquettes from a young age, listening to Jiang Xuan's simple and rough ritual felt unbearable. The old witch thought for a moment and said, "If you don't mind, I can teach the ritual to Qi Xiao. Let her preside over this autumn sacrificial ceremony." Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up and he said, "I don't mind, of course I don't mind. I'll thank you on behalf of my sister first." The old witch waved his hand and then left, clearly disdainful of Jiang Xuan's awkward ritual method. Jiang Xuan didn't mind and wholeheartedly supported letting Qi Xiao become the witch. After all, she was his sister. If it weren't for Qi Xiao, he would have hung up in the dangerous jungle long ago. Even the leadership position was initially given to him by Qi Xiao. Therefore, he was not worried about being usurped later. Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house, carefully placed the first round potato they dug out, and then joined in the autumn harvest. Soon, the cellars they had previously dug in the tunnels were put to use. The round potatoes, stone eggs, and other tuberous foods that could be preserved for a long time were stored in the cellars, kept warm and moist and not prone to rot. Jiang Xuan also placed some leafy wild vegetables in the cellar, while another portion was dried and turned into vegetable chips that could later be cooked. When large quantities of food filled the several bamboo houses, everyone's hearts became settled, and they even woke up from dreams laughing at night. Chapter 55, Building the Altar. After the autumn harvest ended, Jiang Xuan immediately started preparing for the sacrifices. This sacrifice is very important for the Vine tribe because it's their first official sacrifice since the tribe was established. The previous sacrifice was so shabby that Jiang Xuan was despised by the old, which after he talked it out. "I, a traveler, can't be outdone by you," he mused. Jiang Xuan figured that the specifications for this sacrifice ceremony must be improved, if not to amaze the old witch, at least not to look down upon. At the same time, he prepared to officially integrate Gonsong and 12 other wanderers into the Vine tribe during this sacrifice ceremony. In addition, because food is abundant, Jiang Xuan prepared to grow the population further. As the tribe develops, the shortage of manpower becomes increasingly evident. He plans to recruit another 20 to 30 wanderers. If too many are recruited at once, the Vine tribe simply can't sustain them. Too few, and manpower is still insufficient. So, recruiting around 30 people, Jiang Xuan believes he can ensure they survive the winter and control them easily. It's the deep autumn when tribes fight fiercely for food every year. Some tribes rise, others are obliterated. Those of obliterated tribes who escape become wanderers. This is the easiest time to recruit. Due to the scarcity of food and winter supplies, the southern wilderness tribe almost never keeps slaves. They either kill them or kidnap women and children from other tribes to grow the population. With winter approaching, wanderers seeking survival must find opportunities to join other tribes. The recruitment of wanderers is not urgent. The most important thing now is to prepare sacrifice offerings and build a larger altar. The small yellow mud altar was crude and shabby and must be replaced by a larger one. Considering the divine vine is a plant and does not like stone-built altars, Jiang Xuan decided to dig more mud and construct a larger earth altar. The best soil for constructing altars is 5-colored soil, which is composed of blue, red, yellow, white, and black mud. Moreover, these soils should be natural and not dyed. However, finding 5-colored soil is difficult because they are dispersed across the land, and a vine tribe doesn't currently have that ability. Thus, Jiang Xuan can only settle for second best and use white clay to build the altar. Yellow mud lacks toughness. The small altar built before became full of cracks after drying, very unsightly. Fine clay is different. Much like making pottery blanks, slowly blending the clay, and forming mud bricks, then constructing the altar. After drying, it is not only crack-resistant, but very sturdy. Getting down to business, Jiang Xuan gathered everyone to start excavating clay and building the altar. The creek next to the Vine tribe's village was very long, its banks containing ample clay to meet the needs of constructing the altar. Jiang Xuan first led people to clear the surface weeds, mud, and stones beside the creek, revealing the grayish-white clay beneath, and then began forcefully digging with bone plows. Dig the soil out directly into vine baskets and carry them to the foot of Stone Mountain. Don't dirty them. Jiang Xuan instructed the others as he excavated. Under his arrangement, 4 people were dedicated to excavating clay, 8 to transportation, and 3 took responsibility for cleaning the ground at the foot of Stone Mountain, blending the transported clay into bricks. 2 others dismantled the crack-ridden yellow mud altar. The tribe members thought building an altar was extremely sacred. Participating in it was a great honor. Therefore, everyone was enthusiastic and worked tirelessly. Thanks to everyone's effort, they excavated enough clay to build the altar within 3 days. The clay was transported entirely to the foot of Stone Mountain, blended, and beaten into uniformly sized mud bricks. Then Jiang Xuan, with his own hands, piled the mud bricks one by one to construct the altar. This work was more intricate. With everyone's help, it took 3 more days to complete. Through the efforts of all the Vine tribe members, a brand new altar was finally built after 6 days. The altar was round, narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, 3 meters tall, with a 6-meter diameter at the base and a 5-meter diameter at the top, featuring broad stairs for ascending. This altar was gigantic for a small tribe, even larger than Jiang Xuan and his people's current bamboo houses. General small tribes wouldn't build such a large altar due to frequent migrations. Even the old which looked surprised when seeing the new altar. Paint the totem pattern, and the altar will be complete. Jiang Xuan picked up a few sharp stone fragments, roughly polished them into carving knives, and began carving totem patterns onto the altar. Such a large altar, relying on himself alone to carve all the totem patterns would take too long, so he asked Qi Xiao to help. Honestly speaking, Jiang Xuan's drawing talent isn't very good. After a year of painting totem patterns, they were just acceptable, not really beautiful. Qi Xiao, on the other hand, has much greater drawing talent than Jiang Xuan. Her totem patterns seem to possess spiritual qi and are very beautiful. Therefore, Jiang Xuan took responsibility for carving totem patterns on the back, while Qi Xiao carved those on the front, working collaboratively. Carving totem patterns took the 2 a day. Afterward, Jiang Xuan made some paint to color the totem patterns and performed the final polishing of the altar, which took another day. Ultimately, after 8 days of effort, the Vine tribe's new altar was truly completed. It's really not easy. Jiang Xuan stood before the tall altar, admiring the totem patterns on it, and sighed. 17 people spent 8 days completing this simple earth altar. If it were a stone-built altar, requiring each stone brick to be polished and totem patterns carved, it might take half a year or even a year to finish. Although the altar is done, it still seems to lack something. Jiang Xuan looked around and found the altar alone too plain. Right, we can place 2 pottery cauldrons on the altar, and erect some totem poles around it to make it more appealing. Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up. He thought the idea was good. The cauldron in current tribes is used as a utensil for boiling food, mostly three-legged pottery cauldrons. Including the Vine tribe, they also use three-legged pottery cauldrons for cooking food. But Jiang Xuan knows that when pottery cauldrons develop into bronze cauldrons, they gradually transform into sacrificial ritual vessels. People would fill them with animal blood or food, using them to sacrifice to gods and ancestors. In some rituals, aromatic plants would be ground into powder, burned in the cauldron, known as incense burning. Incense burning is also a very important part of sacrificial rites. But given that the Vine tribe's totem god is a plant that likely dislikes fire, Jiang Xuan decided against making an incense burner, avoiding thankless efforts. Having figured it out, Jiang Xuan immediately had people dig more clay. First build a larger earthen kiln for firing pottery cauldrons. Then he patiently crafted 3 tall, 3-legged pottery cauldron blanks with clay and meticulously carved the Vine tribe's totem patterns and bird and beast designs on their outer walls. As for erecting the totem poles, Jiang Xuan delegated the task to others. Sometimes doing everything by oneself is not a good thing. It exhausts oneself, and the subordinates miss out on training and opportunities to show themselves. Chapter 56. The Best Sacrifice. The huge pottery cauldron takes about 10 days to dry in the shade, and it also requires some time to air dry in the earth kiln. Therefore, after Jiang Xuan finished it, he began to prepare for the most important part of the ritual. That is the preparation of offerings. To make the ritual grander and to satisfy the divine vine, the preparation of offerings is crucial. First, there are various grains, including stone eggs, round potatoes, thorny fruits, red-haired fruits, and polygonatum. If they had 5 grains, it would be the best, but unfortunately, the Vine tribe doesn't have them yet. They can only be planted once found later. Next is the divine vine's favorite blood offerings. Regarding blood offerings, Jiang Xuan plans to offer the divine vine large fish, 7 colored pheasants, 5 colored ducks, bighorn sheep, and black muntjac. The offerings this time are quite abundant, and Jiang Xuan believes the divine vine will definitely like them. Jiang Xuan plans to hunt bighorn sheep and black muntjac first because the big fish are in the river and can be caught at any time. That night, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, Go Tung, Shi Qiu, and Nan Xing discussed hunting matters. We are going hunting. This time the hunt is quite challenging because we need to catch them alive for offering. I plan to take 3 people and leave 1 to guard the tribe. Qi Xiao said nothing, as she was definitely going. Go Tung rushed to say, to catch live prey, we must rely on traps. I'm good at making traps. Leader, take me with you. Jiang Xuan nodded. Go Tung is good at making traps. Let's have him. Me, leader. Last time you promised to take me hunting. Nanxing looked eagerly at Jiang Xuan. He was the youngest and the least capable in combat, always left out of hunts, and he had long been yearning for it. Last time, Jiang Xuan left him home, promising to take him hunting next time. He couldn't break his promise, could he? Jiang Xuan looked at Shi Qiu with some difficulty. Shi Qiu, being more composed, volunteered, I'll stay in the tribe. All right, let's take Nanxing then. Yay! Nanxing jumped up with joy, shouting, I'll go prepare the hunting tools right away. Everyone in the room laughed. Then each went to prepare their hunting gear. Early the next morning, Jiang Xuan, Qi Xiao, Go Tung, and Nanxing, fully equipped, set off to hunt in the southern forest. It was now late autumn. The morning autumn breeze carried a mournful chill, and the green leaves in the forest gradually turned yellow or red. Jiang Xuan's face was painted with a totem pattern, and he wore simple beast-hide clothing, pants, and boots. He held a bone spear in one hand, a stone knife was tucked in his waist, and a beast-hide bag slung over his back along with a bow and arrows. It said that clothes make the man. This outfit made him look wild and more intimidating. Whoosh, whoosh. On Stone Mountain, a giant dragonfly kept circling, grabbing large bugs and small birds and beasts to eat. However, its movements were not as swift as in the summer. I wonder if this giant dragonfly can survive the winter. Jiang Xuan looked up, his voice a bit low. This giant dragonfly had accompanied the vine tribe for more than half a year, even helping them fight during the mosquito tribe's hunting team attack, eating many bird-beak mosquitoes. But dragonflies seem to have very short lifespans, and even its large size might not help it last through winter. Qi Xiao said, "Some insects live only a few days. Living over half a year is already good for it. That's its fate." Jiang Xuan thought for a moment. Yes, compared to the trees, our lives are also very brief. Jiang Xuan didn't dwell on the matter. Qi Xiao was right. It was its fate. "Let's go into the mountains to hunt." Jiang Xuan glanced at the giant dragonfly once more, then refocused, steadfastly heading into the forest, the three following behind closely. Nanxing was particularly excited, as his beast-hide bag hit a bone whistle. After long practice, he could now mimic bird and deer calls with the bone whistle. He planned to try attracting prey with the whistle sound once in the mountains. Soon they entered the vast, primitive jungle. No matter their previous state, once in the jungle, everyone became highly focused, their steps light, actions becoming almost instinctual. The jungle is dangerous, and so is hunting. Careless people can easily lose their lives in the jungle. Cluck, cluck, cluck. As they walked, Jiang Xuan suddenly stopped, crouching down, and the others followed suit. Ahead was a flock of 7-colored pheasants, about 7 or 8 of them. The 7-colored pheasant is very beautiful. The rooster has a bright red comb on its head, a neck shimmering in purple blue, and long and gorgeous 7-colored feathers on its tail, making it look extremely striking. In autumn, the forest is abundant with food, and these 7-colored pheasants grow quite fat. The rooster weighs roughly over 20 pounds, while the hen is smaller, estimated to be about 10 pounds. At this moment, these 7-colored pheasants are searching for food in the forest, looking for plant seeds, fruits, and various insects to eat. Jiang Xuan whispered to Qi Xiao, asking, "Can we use snares to catch these 7-colored pheasants? They're very good offerings." Qi Xiao observed the surroundings and said, "The 7-colored pheasants don't fly far. We can loop around to the front, use insects as bait, set up snare traps, and then drive them over there." "All right, let's do it this way." Jiang Xuan waved his hand, and the 4 of them circled around the 7-colored pheasants from a distance, moving to an open space ahead, quickly grabbing some insects and setting up many snare traps. Goting indeed has a talent for setting traps. After some time of learning, the speed at which he sets traps is now comparable to Qi Xiao. Gotung bent down a small shrub, tied a rope to it, and connected it to a ground-triggered trap. Finally, he tied an insect in the center of the snare. This insect was connected to the trap's trigger, so as long as the 7-colored pheasants tried to eat the insect, they would pull the trap's safety device, and the small branch would instantly spring up, pulling the rope tight and snaring the pheasant's neck. If lucky, it might even catch its claws. All right, Gotung then lightly cleaned the traces on the ground and continued setting up the next trap. With the 4's efforts, all traps were soon set up. "Nanxing, follow me. Sister, you go to the left, Gotung goes to the right. Later, we will surround them from 3 sides and drive those 7-colored pheasants to fly toward the traps." All right, Jiang Xuan finished assigning tasks and immediately took Nanxing to loop back to their previous position. Qi Xiao and Gotung then looped to either side of the 7-colored pheasants. Woo woo woo. Once ready, everyone immediately stood up, waving the weapons in their hands and making sounds to drive the prey. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Flap, flap, flap. The 7-colored pheasants were startled and then flew up, instinctively fleeing in the direction where there were no people. Since the 7-colored pheasants are quite fat and not adept at flying, they only flew for dozens of meters before landing, hiding in the shrubs. Jiang Xuan and the group gathered again. Seeing the 7-colored pheasants fly toward the trap area, Jiang Xuan was quite satisfied. All right, now we find a tree from where we can see all the traps, and then hide on the tree and patiently wait. The 4 searched around for a while, and then found a tree with a good view, climbed up quickly, and hid among the thick branches, observing the activity through gaps in the leaves. After about 10 minutes, those seven-colored pheasants thought the humans had left and cautiously poked their heads out from the shrubs. Initially, they were quite cautious, carefully surveying their surroundings. Half an hour later, they gradually grew bolder and began using their claws to scrape the ground as usual, looking for insects to eat. An hour later, one seven-colored pheasant was the first to discover an insect in a snare trap. It stared at the insect for a while, ultimately unable to resist the temptation, and pecked at it. Phew! The seven-colored pheasant triggered the trap, and the shrub instantly sprang up, along with the snare, which tightened and caught this seven-colored pheasant's neck, lifting it up. This seven-colored pheasant flapped its wings desperately, but could no longer escape. Cluck, cluck, cluck. The other seven-colored pheasants fled again. Caught it. Let's get down. The four quickly climbed down the tree. Jiang Xuan was the fastest to rush to the trap, grabbing the wings of the seven-colored pheasant. Quick, tie its claws. Go Tang excitedly took out a rope, quickly grabbed the seven-colored pheasant's two claws, and tied them up. Qi Xiao then untied the rope from the pheasant's neck to prevent it from suffocating. This is one plump seven-colored pheasant, a top-notch offering, haha. Jiang Xuan held the seven-colored pheasant, smiling with delight. This hunting trip started well. Surely, they'll capture even more prey next. Chapter 57. Earth Armor Beast Under the Thunder Tree. The seven-colored pheasant was placed into a beast hide bag, carried by Jiang Xuan as they moved forward. The pheasant's night vision was quite poor, and the beast hide bag was dark, so in the absence of light, it struggled a bit and then stopped moving. The four continued forward, seeking more prey. Roar! In the distance, a giant-toothed tiger roared angrily, seemingly engaged in a fierce battle with some beast. Jiang Xuan and the others avoided that area because they were too small to fend off a beast attack. This place seems familiar. As they walked, Jiang Xuan found the surroundings gave him a familiar feeling. To catch more prey, they often took different routes into the mountains for hunting, some routes more frequently than others. Evidently, this place was one of the less frequently traveled paths. We've been here before. There should be a patch of thunder trees ahead. Qi Xiao's memory was excellent. She remembered this place. I remember now. There indeed is a patch of thunder trees. With Qi Xiao's reminder, Jiang Xuan also recalled which place this was. In the spring, they had come here and encountered a patch of thunder trees. However, at that time, the trees were just budding, and their magical qualities were not yet apparent. Sister, I remember you saying that the thunder trees have a kind of fruit that explodes once ripe, and beneath them, there's an earth armor beast that steals prey, right? That's right, indeed, Qi Xiao confirmed. All right, let's go and check if we can catch an earth armor beast and bring it back as an offering. Jiang Xuan set off immediately, with Go Tang and Nanxing excited as they had never seen such magical plants. Qi Xiao walked with them, seriously reminding, the thunder trees are very dangerous now. In the past, the deer tribe's hunting team would circumnavigate them and never dare to catch earth armor beasts under the trees. Be careful not to approach them lightly. Jiang Xuan nodded, saying, Don't worry, elder sister, I won't be reckless. Since becoming the leader, Jiang Xuan's character had become even more composed. He held the responsibility of the entire vine tribe, and a wrong decision could endanger everyone, so he had to be steady. Qi Xiao was quite assured in Jiang Xuan, hence she did not say much more. Boom! As they approached the patch of thunder trees, they heard a loud bang, and debris scattered quickly, shredding the tree leaves along the path, making it terrifying. Is this the explosion of the thunder fruit? Jiang Xuan stared in astonishment at the scene. The fruit's power exceeded Jiang Xuan's expectations. No wonder it could kill beasts. Qi Xiao looked cautiously at the human-sized fruit, saying, That's right, this is the explosion of the thunder fruit. If you accidentally get too close, it can kill you. Gotong pointed under the tree. Leader, there's a gray rabbit that's been killed by the explosion. At the side of the explosion lay a large gray rabbit, its flesh and bones mangled from the blast. When the thunder fruit exploded, it also scattered some fruit pulp on the ground, serving as bait to attract animals to the thunder tree. This gray rabbit was likely drawn by the fruit pulp and consequently lost its life. The gray rabbit is one of the large jungle hares with a significant size. An adult can weigh 30 or 40 pounds. One of the vine tribe's domestication goals is this gray rabbit because it eats grass and reproduces quickly, making it suitable for ranching. Jiang Xuan said, "Let's see if the scent of this gray rabbit can lure the earth armor beast out." Jiang Xuan wanted to see what the earth armor beast looked like, and if given the chance, he wanted to catch one as a sacrifice. The earth armor beast is very precious and makes for an excellent offering. The four hid among the tall trees nearby, watching from above for any earth armor beast to emerge from the soil tunnels. Not long after, Jiang Xuan saw a head poke out from a dirt tunnel under the thunder tree, slyly. It looked somewhat like a pangolin, covered with thick scales and having small eyes. Yet its head is much larger than a pangolin's, with a large mouth filled with sharp teeth, appearing quite fierce. Thunk! Boom! The thunder tree seemed to sense the movement from the ground. Two human-sized thunder fruits instantly dropped, exploding on impact. However, the earth armor beast was experienced. As the thunder fruits fell, it quickly withdrew into its tunnel, escaping unharmed. The earth armor beast indeed is a habitual offender. Not even the thunder fruits can get it. Jiang Xuan looked on in wonder. Truly the world is full of marvels. Qishao said, "I've heard from the hunting team that a few slow-reacting earth armor beasts do get killed by the explosions. Maybe that's why those who survive and steal prey are very smart." Soon, sounds of digging emerged from underground. Clearly, the earth armor beast was burrowing. In this process, several more thunder fruits dropped, but even causing depressions in the ground, they could not harm the earth armor beast below. This is what you'd call one thing conquering another. Seeing the position of the gray rabbit killed by the explosion, the earth armor beast wanted to dig from underground directly to beneath the rabbit to steal its corpse. It's a trick they commonly use. How can we catch the earth armor beast without getting hurt by the thunder fruits? Jiang Xuan pondered deeply, trying to devise a safe and effective method. He thought for a long time before focusing on the thunder fruits. If I directly trigger the explosion of the thunder fruits on the trees, then all the thunder fruits will explode simultaneously. Then, catching the earth armor beast under the tree wouldn't be dangerous, would it? Jiang Xuan's eyes lit up. He found this idea quite good. But how can I trigger the explosion of the thunder fruits on the tree? Jiang Xuan pondered further. These thunder fruits likely explode upon impact, evident from their explosion after falling. Jiang Xuan glanced at the tools beside him and finally fixed his gaze on the bow and arrow. That's right, use the bow and arrow to shoot. However, so many thunder fruits exploding at once would be terrifying. We can't shoot from the tree. We need to find a place to hide. Jiang Xuan scanned around, spotting several huge boulders. Let's go, get off the tree and hide behind the boulders after shooting. The four of them climbed down from the tree and then went to hide behind the boulders. At this point, Jiang Xuan's practiced archery skill came into play. He took the bow and arrow from his back, took a deep breath, then knocked an arrow and aimed at a thunder fruit on a tree. The thunder fruits were quite large and numerous, so from their position, they were relatively easy to hit. Whiz! Jiang Xuan aimed at the largest thunder fruit and shot an arrow. Get down. After shooting the arrow, Jiang Xuan didn't have time to watch the result and immediately ducked with the others. Boom! The thunder fruit was hit and exploded, with its shattered outer shell scattering around at alarming speeds. Soon, a dreadful scene emerged. Boom, boom, boom. All the thunder fruits on the tree were affected and exploded in succession. The forest echoed with continuous explosive sounds, scaring nearby birds and beasts into frantic escape. Even the earth armor beast underground halted its digging, retreating into a deeper section of its tunnel. Jiang Xuan felt dirt, stone fragments, and fruit debris whizzing past him, his face pale. They were fortunate to have the boulders for shelter. Qishao, Go Tong, and Nanxing were also terrified, covering their ears tightly. When it was all over, that patch of thunder trees was blasted to the point of broken branches, with no thunder fruits left on the trees. Even the nearby trees had suffered extensive damage, creating a terrifying scene. Chapter 58. Capture the Earth Armor Beast. Oh my god, that was intense. After everything had ended, Jiang Xuan emerged from behind a boulder, staring at the mess on the ground, utterly shocked by the explosive power of the thunder fruit. He suddenly thought of the few thunder tree saplings he had planted beside the tribe. If they grew up and were attacked in this way, wouldn't it blow up all the other magical plants? Jiang Xuan shivered at the thought and said, "Transplant them. Next spring, they must be transplanted. They can't be planted together with other magical plants." He carefully observed and, after confirming that there were no fruits left on the thunder trees, cautiously moved over to them. Upon reaching the thunder trees, he discovered something interesting. Despite the violent explosion, many nearby trees were damaged, but the thunder trees themselves weren't greatly harmed. Only some smaller branches were broken, while the main trunk and sturdy branches remained intact. So tough. Jiang Xuan poked at it with the bone spear and found the thunder tree was incredibly hard. Even its outer bark was as hard as iron, and the bone spear couldn't penetrate it. Although the thunder tree is dangerous, once you understand its temperament, it can be quite useful. Firstly, the thunder fruit, if picked when it's about to mature, can be used as a large-scale destructive weapon. Just throw it with a large stone, throwing rope, and it can injure a large group of enemies. Secondly, the thunder tree. Its wood is as hard as iron and can be used to make tools or weapons requiring high hardness. For instance, peeling its hard bark to make armor or shields is a good option. The trunk, once cut, can be made into many useful items. These thunder trees surely don't know. Jiang Xuan had already planned their fate carefully. If they knew, they might be so angry they could burst out eloquent tree language. The usage of thunder trees can wait. Jiang Xuan hadn't forgotten the reason he had detonated the thunder tree. He was aiming to catch the earth armor beast under the thunder tree. This gray rabbit, so pitiful. Jiang Xuan picked up the gray rabbit that had been blasted into several large chunks on the ground. It was truly a sad sight. Make do with it. Jiang Xuan used a tree bark rope to tie the dismembered gray rabbit together, then found the hole where the earth armor beast had appeared before and tied one end of the rope to a thick branch of the thunder tree, hanging the gray rabbit up. "Leader, why hang it up?" Nanxing asked curiously. Jiang Xuan said, "Without hanging it up, how would the earth armor beast crawl out? If it doesn't come out, how can we catch it?" "I see." Nanxing nodded in realization. Jiang Xuan then said to Qi Xiao, "Sister, take out your ropes too, connect them together. First place a big loop at the entrance of the hole, then hide nearby. When the earth armor beast crawls out, enters the loop, we'll tighten the rope immediately to prevent it from crawling back into the hole." "That's a good plan." Qi Xiao and Go Tong, Nanxing, all took out their ropes and connected them, making the rope sufficiently long. Then Jiang Xuan tied a loop knot at one end of the rope, made a noose, placed it at the entrance of the hole, encircling the hole, then held the long rope, extending it to behind the boulder. The four hid away, and then it was a matter of patient waiting. Luckily, what they were trying to catch was the earth armor beast, a creature long accustomed to the explosions of thunder trees. Although this explosion was terrifying, it hid underground and wasn't so scared as to lose its nerve. If it were other wild animals, they might be scared into hiding in their den for days. Time flew by as the four took turns watching the dirt hole while munching on some jerky to stave off hunger. Over by the thunder tree, the gray rabbit hung from the tree, still dripped blood beneath it. This scent was a fatal temptation to the earth armor beast that loved sneaking underground for prey. The earth armor beast slowly crawled from the depths of the burrow. It was very cautious, crawling for a while before carefully listening to the surrounding sounds. The area where the thunder trees grew had long been tunneled through extensively by the earth armor beast. Following the scent of blood, it found the burrow closest to the gray rabbit and extended half its head, carefully examining the hanging gray rabbit above. The earth armor beast wasn't very smart. It couldn't grasp why the gray rabbit's body was in the air instead of on the ground. Nonetheless, the temptation of food was enormous. It moved forward piece by piece while cautiously observing the surroundings. Any sign of danger would send it retreating into the burrow. "Leader, it's coming out." Beside the boulder, Go Tung, who was watching, nudged Jiang Xuan, his voice lowered to the extreme, barely audible. Jiang Xuan carefully took a glance over there, and indeed saw the earth armor beast had already poked its head out. He grabbed onto the rope, ready to tighten the snare and capture the earth armor beast at any moment. Don't rush. Let's wait for it to come out a bit more, Qi Xiao whispered in Jiang Xuan's ear. Jiang Xuan nodded and kept his eyes on the earth armor beast. Under the thunder tree, a drop of blood fell near the mouth of the earth armor beast. It extended its long tongue to lick it, and then glanced around and at the thunder tree, finding no danger. The earth armor beast crawled out bit by bit. Gradually, half its body had emerged from the soil hole, and it stood up, intending to bite down the gray rabbit hanging above. Beside the boulder, Jiang Xuan watched the earth armor beast. When he noticed the position of the rope noose had reached the beast's waist, he hesitated no longer. Pull! Jiang Xuan suddenly yanked the rope towards himself, causing the farthest noose to instantly tighten, snaring the earth armor beast around its waist. The entire rope snapped taut. The earth armor beast was startled and immediately turned to run back into the hole, but the rope held it fast, preventing its escape. Huff, huff! The earth armor beast bared its sharp teeth, making threatening noises, very fierce. When it realized it was captured by the rope, it opened its mouth to bite the rope. Fortunately, the woven tree bark rope was quite tough. It couldn't be bitten through in one go. Some time would be needed. Sis, keep pulling, I'll go subdue it. Jiang Xuan handed the rope to Qi Xiao and charged at the earth armor beast with the bone spear in hand. Be careful. Qi Xiao took the rope and pulled forcefully, trying to drag the earth armor beast away from the area full of holes. We'll help. Go Tung and Nanxing also ran towards the earth armor beast. The tribe had a fervor for hunting and did not fear even fierce prey. Smack! Jiang Xuan rushed in front of the earth armor beast and immediately used the bone spear to smack the beast's mouth, preventing it from biting the rope further. He chose to smack instead of stab because the earth armor beast's entire body was covered in hard scales, making it impossible to pierce. After being attacked, the earth armor beast indeed stopped biting the rope and turned to bite Jiang Xuan. This earth armor beast weighed over 300 pounds and resembled a huge crocodile, ferocious as ever. Jiang Xuan did not confront the earth armor beast head-on. He continued to whack it with the bone spear to drain its energy and slowly accumulate its injuries. Go Tung and Nanxing joined in, and the three surrounded the trapped earth armor beast and gave it a beating. The earth armor beast's sharp claws tore deep marks into the ground, its terrifying blood-stained mouth opening and closing repeatedly, yet failing to bite any of them. Leader, its shell is too hard. We can't damage it. Gotung had been hitting the beast for a long time, noticing only the blood flowing from the mouth corner without much harm done, growing impatient inside. None of them had experience hunting earth armor beasts. Capturing such a hard-shelled giant alive was too difficult. Jiang Xuan shouted, "Use the vine net, cover it." To capture the prey alive, Jiang Xuan had specially searched for tough vines and wove a simple vine net on their way here. This vine net was very crude, with large mesh openings, ineffective for catching fish, but likely effective for such a big creature. All right, Gotong immediately untied a large bundle of vine net from his back, and with Nanxing, opened it and covered the earth armor beast. Sure enough, once covered by the vine net, the earth armor beast was soon entangled, unable to move its limbs freely. After a few rolls, the earth armor beast was wrapped tight in the vine net and could not thrash about with its teeth and claws like before. The four took advantage of the situation and kept wrapping ropes around the earth armor beast, binding it tighter and tighter until it couldn't escape anymore. They worked for a long time and finally managed to bind the earth armor beast tightly. Finally, we've captured it alive. Jiang Xuan looked at the earth armor beast on the ground, still struggling but unable to break free, and breathed a sigh of relief. The four were drenched in sweat and rested for a while. Then they found more vines nearby and used sturdy wood to make something like a stretcher and tied the earth armor beast to it. Let's go. Let's take this earth armor beast back first. Since the earth armor beast was quite large and it was getting late, the four did not continue searching for other prey. They took turns carrying the earth armor beast back to the tribe. Chapter 59. Such a big tortoise. After bringing the earth armor beast back to the tribe, it attracted a crowd of onlookers because these creatures usually stay in underground caves. Although they exist in large numbers, they are very difficult to capture. Even the old, which couldn't help but come over for a few more glances because the earth armor beast is a species unique to the southern wilderness, and he'd never seen one in the eastern wilderness. Jiang Xuan temporarily placed this earth armor beast at the foot of Stone Mountain, next to the new altar. This is a sacrificial offering to the vine god, and Jiang Xuan believed that under the watchful eye of the vine god, it wouldn't be able to escape. In the following 2 days, they went into the mountains again and caught an adult bighorned sheep using traps, along with a few smaller preys. This bighorn sheep was larger in size than the earth armor beast, weighing over 500 pounds. If Jiang Xuan and the others hadn't eaten the fruits of the whip tree, which gave them incredible strength, it wouldn't have been easy to bring it back alive. At this point, the offerings for the ceremony were almost fully prepared. The bighorn sheep, earth armor beast, 7-colored pheasant, 5-colored duck, and large bamboo rats were all to be selected for the best ones to be used for the sacrifice. We still need one big fish. Jiang Xuan planned to catch a big fish by the river. With that, the offerings would be basically complete. A real big fish is usually found in deep water areas, and they have immense strength in the water, making them very hard to catch. After careful consideration, Jiang Xuan decided to use fishing to catch a big fish. Setting up a trap for fishing hardly catches a real big fish, and casting nets is a bad idea without a boat or a good fishing net. Only fishing can allow the hook and bait to be thrown into the deep water directly to catch a big fish. Jiang Xuan got straight to work, immediately starting to prepare the fishing gear for catching the big fish. First, a fishing rod strong enough, requiring it to be thick and big and tough so that it could withstand the force of the big fish pulling. This wasn't difficult for Jiang Xuan. Chopping down an arm-thick purple blood tree would do. The purple blood tree was exceptionally tough, and Jiang Xuan had previously used it to make a bone spear, which was very practical. Secondly, he needed to prepare a strong fishing line and a big fish hook. As for the fishing line, Jiang Xuan chose a rope woven from beast hide, which was very tough, wear-resistant, and not easy to break. For the fish hook, he found a hard beast bone with a barbed shape, carefully polished it, ensuring the tip was sharp enough, and the end could be firmly tied with a beast hide rope. As for the float, Jiang Xuan bundled together some dry reeds to serve as a float. Finally, he got a few thick worms from Jiao, which he stored in a lidded vine basket. These preparations took him most of the day. By the afternoon, Jiang Xuan, accompanied by Qi Shao, Go Tung, and others, arrived at a slow-flowing river bay to prepare for fishing for the big fish. First, put on the bait. Jiang Xuan threaded a worm as thick as an arm onto the massive beast bone fish hook. The worm's head was cut off, killing it completely to prevent it from struggling, ensuring the scent would be more intense when placed in the water. Afterward, holding the 3-meter-long purple blood tree fishing rod in one hand and the large hook in the other, Jiang Xuan swung the 10-meter-long beast hide rope and forcefully tossed the baited hook into the river. Splash! The hook sank into the deep water, quickly going down, and if not for the reed float, the rope would have submerged as well. All right, now we just need to wait patiently. Jiang Xuan sat down on a large cobblestone by the river. Fishing requires a lot of patience. Impatience is futile because whether the fish takes the bait is up to the fish, not the people. Goting curiously asked, "Chief, can this really pull up a big fish?" Fishing was a method the tribe hadn't used before for catching fish, so everyone was unsure if it would work. The principle is the same. You can think of this as a kind of fishing trap. Look, when we use rope traps to catch big birds, it also involves a stick, a rope, bait, and a triggering stick, right? Fishing is the same, just replacing the noose with a fish hook. When the big fish sees the bait and swallows the hook, the sharp hook will pierce its body, hooking it so it can't escape. When the big fish struggles, it'll pull the fishing line, and the reed float on the water will move with it. At that point, we just need to use the fishing rod to exhaust the fish's energy and then pull it up. With the analogy of traps, Gotong and Qi Xiao quickly understood what fishing was all about. In essence, it was just a different kind of fishing trap. All right, don't talk while fishing, or you'll scare the fish away. Jiang Xuan stopped talking, and the others began waiting patiently as well. As qualified hunters of the tribe, patience waiting during a hunt was a basic requirement, and everyone had no problem with that. The fish in this river had likely never been caught by anyone, and their numbers were astonishingly high. Not long after Jiang Xuan cast his line, the reed fish float on the surface began to move. There's a fish on the line. Jiang Xuan immediately perked up, gripping the sturdy fishing rod with both hands, and intently watched the water surface. Splash, splash. Soon, the fishing line made of beast hides was pulled taut, and the reed float bobbed up and down as the big fish desperately dragged it into the water. Jiang Xuan felt the immense power transmitted through the fishing rod. He quickly stood up, a look of excitement on his face. Splash, splash. A quick-moving black shadow appeared in the water, moving back and forth with the beast hide rope, and the enormous force was even bending the purple blood tree fishing rod. Help me. After being dragged a few steps forward, Jiang Xuan's expression finally changed, and he immediately called for help. It was important to know that he was almost at the level of a two-color warrior, his strength several times that of ordinary tribe members. If even he couldn't stand firm, one could imagine the power and size of the fish in the water. Qi Xiao, Gotong, and others immediately came over, together grabbing the thick purple blood tree fishing rod, fighting against the big fish in the water. Gradually, the big fish started floating up. It was oval in shape, looking like a ball. What kind of fish is this? Jiang Xuan was puzzled, but everyone knew little about fish in the water, and no one could answer him. After a tug of war, there were eventually more people on the shore with more strength, and the strange fish in the water swam slower and slower and started floating to the surface. Pull it up. Jiang Xuan and the others together pulled the strange fish into the shallow water, and after a bit of effort, they finally dragged it to shore, revealing its true appearance to all. Wow, what a big turtle! Jiang Xuan exclaimed with surprise. He never expected to catch a giant turtle when trying to catch a big fish. This giant turtle's back was over 2 meters long, resembling a large round table, roughly estimated to weigh at least several hundred pounds, truly a gigantic turtle. This thing is called a turtle, huh? It looks so weird. Look, it has 4 legs. Yeah, and how does it live in the water with those legs? It's so strange. Its mouth is so big, but why can't we see any sharp teeth? Everyone was very excited, inspecting this peculiar aquatic creature while chattering away. Perfect sacrificial offering. Let's build a frame to carry it back. In good spirits, Jiang Xuan gave the order, and everyone got busy building a frame. Then they hoisted the giant turtle onto it, secured it, and carried it back to the tribe along the newly cleared road. Chapter 60. The Wanderer Drawn to the Bonfire. On September 10th, the Vine tribe had prepared the sacrifices, and Jiang Xuan spent another day firing the clay blanks of the 3 large pottery cauldrons into ceramics. Due to the great experience gained previously, coupled with the fact that the cauldrons were quite thick and not easily cracked, all 3 cauldrons were fired successfully this time. The surfaces of these pottery cauldrons were dark red, with totem patterns of the Vine tribe carved on the outer walls, and motifs of flowers, birds, insects, fish, and fierce beasts, giving an impression of simplicity and grandeur at a glance. Jiang Xuan carried these 3 new cauldrons to the center of the new altar, arranging them in a triangular shape, symbolizing the concept of life spawning myriad things. Apart from the cauldrons, the altar was encircled by 8 huge totem poles, and even the large beast bones were placed neatly. The Vine tribe's altar finally possessed some mysterious and sacred atmosphere. Even the old, which often wandered around, feeling that this setup was quite impressive. On the early morning of September 12th, Jiang Xuan awoke to find the ground had already turned white, not from snow, but from frost. Jiang Xuan returned to the bamboo house, holding his bamboo 2 calendar, and carved the small characters for frostfall next to September 12th, using a stone knife. The weather is getting colder and colder. It probably won't be long before it snows. Everything is already prepared. It's time to hold the sacrificial ceremony. If delayed further, Jiang Xuan worried that the divine vine might be affected by the arrival of winter, as it was, after all, plant. With winter approaching, the battles between the tribes should already be finished. Now is the perfect time to recruit wanderers. Jiang Xuan intended to immediately start recruiting wanderers, ideally allowing them to witness the sacrificial process firsthand, especially the part where the divine vine revives, so it would have a deterrent effect on those wanderers. Previously, Jiang Xuan recruited people like Gonsong by chance encounters and persuaded them to join the vine tribe. But that method was too inefficient. Searching for wanderers in the vast forest wasn't an easy task. Jiang Xuan recalled a simpler method: lighting a huge bonfire on the wide-open ground in front of the vine tribe and adding some fresh branches and wet grass to the fire. This way, the bonfire would produce thick smoke rising to the sky, visible from far away. Nearby wanderers, those at the end of their rope, upon seeing these obviously man-made smoke signals, would have a high probability of coming to investigate. At that time, Jiang Xuan could fairly easily recruit some wanderers who wanted to join the tribe. Moreover, this past year, Jiang Xuan and others had explored a very wide area around the vine tribe, not discovering hostile tribes, so there was no worry that the smoke would attract attention for hostile tribes. Because the southern wilderness was filled with towering mountains, unless one was standing atop a mountain peak, it was very difficult to see far distances. Jiang Xuan shared this method with the others, and everyone agreed there was no problem with it. Jiang Xuan gathered a few people, collected a large amount of firewood, and piled it in the center of the harvested farmland, forming a 3+ meter tall, large wood pile. Ignite the fire. With a burning torch in hand, Jiang Xuan lit the giant bonfire. Crackle, crackle. The wood was very dry, and once ignited, the fire quickly spread until the entire bonfire was blazing fiercely, sending waves of heat rolling outward. Next, Jiang Xuan covered the burning bonfire with a large number of fresh branches and some wet grass. Thick smoke soon billowed forth, turning into a giant smoke column soaring into the sky. Such high smoke! Gonsong looked up at the billowing smoke in admiration, joined by similar exclamations from others. This bonfire would burn for several days until Jiang Xuan had recruited enough wanderers needed by the vine tribe. Standing by the bonfire, Jiang Xuan addressed the group. Sister, Goteng, Shiqiu, Nanxing, you all go ahead and temporarily remove the traps on both sides of the tribe, so as not to injure any wanderers coming to investigate. Tomorrow noon, when the sun reaches its highest point, whether we have recruited wanderers or not, the ceremony will be held as planned. Many tribes held their sacrificial ceremonies at night because animal totem gods typically preferred to forage at night and were more active than during the day. But it was different for the vine tribe. Their totem god was a divine vine, more vibrant during the day when there was sunlight, making it more suitable for sacrificial ceremonies. All right, we'll go right away. Qi Shao and others immediately set off to temporarily dismantle the traps around the tribe. From here on, we'll have to rely on luck. Standing by the bonfire, Jiang Xuan looked up at the thick smoke, feeling wave after wave of heat as he prayed to successfully recruit enough wanderers. Meanwhile, within a forest between two mountains near the vine tribe, hundreds of wanderers were aimlessly wandering. They were a group of individuals who had lost their tribes, coming from a multitude of tribes, choosing to band together to survive the perilous primitive forest. They had traveled far, encountering various dangerous beasts and plant attacks along the way, with members constantly joining or dying, with no one knowing where their destination lay. Each year, many wanderers perished in the forest this way. Some froze to death, others starved. Some were eaten by fierce beasts or became fertilizer for strange plants. They had no tribal protection, no powerful warriors to shield them, no time to find enough food to survive the winter, nor enough beast hides to keep warm. In such harsh conditions, it's too difficult to stay alive. Jingjia, do you think we can find a large tribe? Among the wanderers, there was a tall tribesman named Jiang Xuan. He was the only one-color warrior among them. Without him, they would have died even faster. Because of his strength, Jiang Xuan became the leader of the group, guiding them to race against the winter, hoping to find a large tribe to take them in. Jiang Xuan did not turn back. He said firmly, "I believe we will definitely find a large tribe." However, Jiang Xuan had no idea if they could actually find a large tribe that would take them in. He only knew that if he lost hope, then this group of people would truly have no hope at all. "Yes, we will definitely find it. That's right. By then we won't have to starve. Maybe we can even wrap ourselves in thick beast hides during the winter." A few of the younger wanderers started discussing, growing more excited as they talked, as if the good days were right before their eyes. However, the older wanderers appeared very pessimistic, or rather numb, as they had experienced too much disappointment and no longer held such naive thoughts. Their only hope was to survive, even if it was just for one more day. This is the instinct to survive. SHSHSH. Suddenly, a giant toothed tiger leaped from the nearby bushes, biting a wanderer at the edge of the group. "Ah!" The wanderer let out a miserable scream and was dragged away by the giant toothed tiger, leaving behind only a trail of blood on the ground. "It's a giant toothed tiger." The wanderers fell into chaos, crying out in terror and desperately pushing towards the center, fearing that other beasts might spring out. Don't panic. The more you panic, the faster you'll die. Do you want to die? At the crucial moment, Jiang Xuan stepped forward and shouted. But the wanderers were too scared, and Jiang Xuan had to spend a good amount of time shouting and kicking to stop them from running and shoving wildly. Keep moving forward and be alert to any movements around. Holding a stone axe, Jiang Xuan continued to lead at the front. Such scenes had occurred many times along the way. Although furious, he was powerless. He must find a tribe willing to take in the wanderers. Jiang Xuan gritted his teeth in secret. He could only rely on this belief to continue moving forward, afraid that he might collapse like the wanderers. As they walked, 2 more wanderers were dragged away by beasts, and another had a mental breakdown and ran off from the group, likely to die in the jungle. Jiang Xuan's heart kept sinking, but he had no choice but to grit his teeth and persevere. They reached a high point in a mountain pass. Jiang Xuan climbed onto a large rock to survey the surroundings and suddenly saw a plume of thick smoke in the distance. This smoke rose almost straight into the sky and was isolated, unlike the continuous smoke caused by a mountain fire. A bonfire, a large bonfire. Jiang Xuan was so excited that he almost jumped up. As a tribesman, he was very familiar with the smoke produced by bonfires. If it were a small bonfire, it couldn't produce such thick and large smoke columns. Only those large bonfires lit during big tribal events could have this effect. There must be a tribe ahead, a large tribe. Keep going. If we reach that large tribe, maybe we'll be taken in. Jiang Xuan climbed down from the large rock, excitedly shouting to the wanderers. Is there really a large tribe? Great! We can all survive. Some of the wanderers cheered, then followed Jiang Xuan and continued moving forward. But others appeared more number, as they had been excited many times before, only to be repeatedly let down by reality, and now they dared not believe in miracles anymore. With various thoughts in mind, the group of wanderers moved quickly towards the direction of the smoke, losing more lives along the way.